tell you, chat, if when they run the small Vtuber awards shit again, and they have a category for most likely to be late to their own stream, I promise you, I'm taking that in a landslide. I'm taking that in a landslide based on how much I've been late this year already. Hello there, everyone. Hello. How are all of you doing here tonight? Hopefully, y'all have been having a good weekend so far. My name is GirafaStev. I'm the president of the Lawn Boy Club. Very long and large enjoyer of games, wrestling, OAO, and my stinky cats. Tonight, we are finishing what we started. It is the finals, or the final games of our season mode for Backyard Baseball. We've had a pretty rough regular season, I'm not gonna lie, but we managed to claw our way into the playoffs, and we are now in the league championships. We managed to get to the big time, y'all, and tonight we are going for the gold. And then once we're done with that, we're gonna screen some more Ring of Honor on HDNet in tonight's post-show. But first, chat, I need to tell you about something, and that something is, well, sometimes in this VTubing scene, right, I've noticed that there are people that just want to watch the world burn, you know? And they find very unique and creative ways to do it. And one of the people that do it the best is a man by the name of Shindigs, who makes a lot of really unique, like, you know, interactive, like, stream overlays and tools and widgets and stuff like that. Honestly, he's probably one of the most, like, technically impressive VTubers out there. And recently, he made this. Chat. This here is the following. I made a stream overlay that shows viewers leaving the stream when they get bored. If a viewer becomes an inactive chatter, they literally walk off screen. This may be the most demoralizing stream overlay I've ever created. And it's literally like this. Like watch what happens. Like, watch what happens the moment that he, like, you know, like, fucking activates this right here. Look at all these people. They're just gone now.
They're all leaving. All the inactive chatters are leaving.
Oh, bye chat.
Bye chat. You guys fucking hate me. You fucking hate me.
Now, if you are a larger streamer, this is pretty funny, right? Even maybe if you're a smaller streamer, it's funny, right? Just seeing, like, all of the people that either have your stream in another tab or minimized or muted or whatever, or what have you. Watching all of them just leave, that's a funny sight, right? But also, this is a sadomasochistic tool, alright? Like, dude, literally, if you're like a smaller streamer like me and you're seeing like all of these people just fucking go, it is very demoralizing. Just like he said, it's like, oh fuck. I need to update my LinkedIn then. Holy shit. Because early streaming is not in my future. Clearly this shit is not in my future at all, because holy shit. Like I'm seeing all of these people leave, and I don't really know in what context it is. Like, maybe they have, like, you know, the stream just kind of, you know, minimized or muted or in another tab, and I'm just like, damn, dude, I can't get a read on you. I cannot get a read on you whatsoever. It's just, I don't know, it's fun. It's very fun, but also, if I were to install this, this might cause me psychological pain. It might actually cause me, like, psychological pain. seeing all this. Like, dude, dude, especially like when we get deeper into the stream, I recognize that there are people that, lurk, have me on in the background and stuff like that. But like, if you're walking off screen, I'm just assuming that you're leaving the long boy zone. you know? It's just like, oh shit.
Spare
Oh,
serotonin,
I don't really know what
please.
all, oh, but then I would get serotonin. It would make it all better. They're over there getting their refunds, but I don't care. I get serotonin. Yeah. Hello. Hello, I'm Diatonic. I know I know you're Deontay, but I don't know if you want me to call you that or if you want me to call you Diatonic or just Tonic. Like, what do you want me to call you now? Hello, Radiant Griffin. How are you doing? Hello, my model mother. But
Hello,
no, this
Mario.
might cause me psychological pain right here. Just seeing like everybody like lurk like when we're 2 or so hours deep into the stream. And I'm just like, oh, well, that tears it. I'm graduating, as they say. I'm graduating next month at this rate, because what do you mean? I'm filling out those fucking job applications post haste. McDonald's says I need to put the fries in the fucking bag now. Dia or Deontay is fine. Both of them are my real name. Rather, both of them are my names. So whichever is easier. Both of these. I'll just keep calling you Deontay if that's alright, because, well, that's what I know you as. It's like I can't, like, tell, like, my co-host Zachary to stop calling me by my real name and instead just start calling me by Stev. Like, he can't do that. Like, he's known me for, like, 10 years plus at this point. Like, that would be such a shift. It would be a big old shift. No. Hey, Stev, I went to the Omaha Zoo today. Ooh. And got to feed a giraffe. His name was Penelope. You know Penelope is wanted for tax evasion, right? It's a good thing that you didn't snitch on him. Otherwise, there would have been hell to pay. But no. That's
Hello,
that's
Mario.
really cool. Hello, Bri. How are you doing? Welcome on into tonight's Long Boy Club meeting. No, Dan. Lots of zoos actually have like those canopies that you can like go up on and you can pet the giraffes. You know? And those are the best ones. Like, those are the best fucking zoos. And I promise you, every single one of those zoos, when they have those canopies, the giraffe is like front and center on like all of their marketing. My local zoo, literally the biggest attraction for them, both figuratively and literally, is the giraffes. And you can like feed them lettuce and you can, pet them when they come up to the canopy. It's good. It's really, really good. God. I mean, like, I went to the zoo, like, earlier in the year, right? And they had the African and they had, like, the African adventure section, like, closed off that day. And I'll never forget, right? Like, when we went up to, like, get our tickets for the zoo, and they said that the African exhibits were closed, the light, like, I was literally like this. The light faded from my eyes, right? I never knew happiness for the next few hours after hearing that. Like, sure, we saw the sea lions and, lots of other cool stuff. But, listen, man. Nothing will be able to fill the hole in my heart from not seeing my brethren up close and personal. I'm just hoping that I can, I'm just hoping that I can find some time by the end of the summer to go back and meet them face to face. At least once a year, it needs to happen. No, chat. Like, all this is not exactly what I wanted to talk about today. Before we get into our main thing here, I want to pick your brains on something, right? because my roommate the other day walked into the house with these. These are Italian brain rot holographic cards, right? And for those of you who are unaware, right? This is basically the poster child of this form of memes, right? Of like these of like this genre, I guess you could say. This is Tung 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 Sahor, an AI generated baseball bat, right? Which obviously this man is not a baseball bat. He's literally like a hunk of wood with like giant ass feet, and he's holding a baseball bat. This character, right, has gained a lot of traction in recent times. Like, not only is he a card, he's also a skin in Fortnite. And like, I've seen him show up at children's birthday parties, right? Not like in my area, but like I've seen like clips of like guys coming in to like service those parties in Tung 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 Sahor costume. And you know, my roommate knows it's AI generated.
Defender
He hates
42
Gen
has
AI,
reached a 45
you
stream
know?
streak. Also, what a complete waste of cardboard.
But he finds this really funny, right? And to an extent, I do too. But like, I don't know. Like, I look at this and it just feels like the degradation of just art and just like, you know, human made stuff. Like I'm gonna sound like a complete old head here, right? But but I see this character. I see him in Fortnite, I see him in these trading cards, I see him at children's birthday parties. Is the homunculus mute? Hold on. Shouldn't be.
Ara.
No. But no, I was thinking to myself, I'm just like, at the risk of sounding like an old head, I fear for I fear for the taste of our youth, right? Because like, you know, it's one thing to like, you know, enjoy something that's that kind of appeals to their sensibilities, but not necessarily to ours, right? Like that I can fucking, you know, I can fucking, you know, accept, you know? Like I'm set in my ways, it's fine. But like when that thing is a product of AI, right? It just feels like it's giving it more legitimacy. Like stuff like this feels like it's giving it more legitimacy than it deserves, which is no legitimacy, you know? Like I look at this and I'm just like, Bluey, you got to step up, girl. Like you got to have something that's a little bit better than this, you know, to appeal to today's youth. Like you got to fucking you got to lock in because I can't be 40 years old, right? And then people that are turning 18, they look back on their childhood and they say, "Oh yeah, I remember when Tung 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 Sahor came to my birthday party. That was crazy, wasn't it?" Like I don't know if I can really deal with that. So like Bluey, Peppa, even fucking Cocomelon, I need you to step up. All right? I need you to step up because even though Cocomelon is scientifically engineered to be as addictive as possible to children, like you got to have something more to offer than AI generated fucking baseball Batman, you know? No. Like that's that's kind of like the quandary I'm at because like I find this funny to an extent, but also I'm just like I feel like by monetizing it, putting it in stuff that is not necessarily AI generated, it feels like it gives it more legitimacy than it deserves, you know? When really it deserves no legitimacy. Whatever happened to the classic heroes like Crazy Frog and Neon Cat, I will tell you right now, those characters will not appeal to today's youth, right? Like they were appealing to us back in our youth, but that came from like a time when like, you know, technology was still exciting, you know? Now technology is thoroughly unexciting and and it's fronted by the worst people you know. The Big Bang Theory was a cautionary tale, chat. The Big Bang Theory was a cautionary tale, and that tale is that those characters needed to be bullied more. They needed to be bullied more. Otherwise we end up with guys like Elon Musk. All right? Like remember when being like a tech nerd used to be charming and now it's just like the fucking mark of the beast, you know? Like all of these guys need to be shoved in more lockers. All these guys need to be shoved in more lockers. If that happened, maybe we wouldn't have Tung Sahor, or as my roommate calls him, Triple T. Which begs the question, in the match between Triple T and Triple H, who's winning? Because both of them use AI. Both of them use AI in their production process, okay? So, like, I don't really know who's coming out of that unscathed, you know? I feel like Triple H, even with his pacemaker heart and his paper quads, I feel like he could do something here, you know? I feel like he could do something. And, like, I'm not talking, like peak form Triple H, right? I'm talking, like, you know, glasses wearing, it's all part of the show, Triple H, you know? Like, I don't know who's coming out of that. But no. Chat. That's just kind of something I wanted to bring attention to. because I'm at kind of like, I don't want to call it a moral dilemma because that sounds really uh it sounds like really dramatic. But like my roommate insists that Tung Sahor has been excuse me, jeez. Sorry. He insists that Tung Sahor here has been adopted within art circles. And I'm just like, which ones? because certainly those are not any art circles I've seen. You know? Like who here is keeping the Tung Sahor fandom alive? You know? And whoever it is, can I have a conversation with them? Because I feel like we need to have a talking to. I need to show you, like, I need to show you Bluey. All right? I mean, who fucking knows, like, what her and Bingar getting up to in that episode? You know? Answer, Pomni comes in and whacks them both with a folding chair. Is it stretched out Pomni, or is it, like, normal sized Pomni? And she comes out to Isn't She Lovely? Oh, goodness. No. Chat. I promise you that neither I nor the homunculus will show up in these cards. Alright? It's not gonna happen. Anyways, chat, we have backyard baseball here to play tonight, and then once we're all done with that, we're gonna go ahead and we're gonna do Ring of Honor on HDNet. But first, we're gonna run an ad. I'll see y'all in a few minutes.
It's break time. Where are the Cheetos, my dudes?
Are your feet So rough that you need a sander? Is your skin jagged enough to pop a balloon? Do your heels tear through pantyhose on a daily basis? Now, from earth to skin, there's doctor-recommended Heel Stick, Cracked Heel Renewal.
Within 24 to 48 hours, I could see an improvement in my skin when I used Heel Stick.
I'm in such shock after using the Heel Stick. My feet feel so much softer. They feel like baby's feet.
This easy-to-use, soothing balm helps to protect skin against dry, cracked heels.
Before I had the Heel Stick, it looked like I had rhino skin. I had scales and cracks, and afterwards, I had really, really silky skin.
Just glide it like a roll-on with no mess and no fuss.
Lotions and creams sit on the top of the skin. That's not where the problem is. If you have real chronic dry cracked feet, the problem is deeper. The Heel Stick actually gets to the cause of the problem.
The Heel Stick contains antibacterial and antifungal ingredients to treat not only the heel, but the entire foot.
Use it to soothe cracked feet, to soften rough knees, elbows. It even works great on your cuticles.
My feet felt a lot softer. They didn't seem to crack or bother me.
Anytime I get any type of dry skin, I use the Heel Stick, and it's like it magically disappears.
So stop hiding horrendous heels and start loving your feet again with the Heel Stick Cracked Heel Renewal. Call now and get the 1-ounce Heel Stick for just $10.
The search is over. I finally found the solution to my dry feet and getting rid of that pain.
If you order right now, we'll supersize you to our large 2.5-ounce Heel Stick. But we're still not done. If you call right now, we'll double the value. Just pay separate shipping and handling. That's right, you'll get 2 Heel Sticks, 1 to keep and 1 to share. A $40 value, all for just $10. Here's how to order.
Call 1-800-671-8525 to order Cracked Heel Stick. Call now and get a $20 bonus second Heel Stick just for ordering. So call 1-800-671-8525. Call now.
Om nom nom. Oh, excuse me, we're back, my dudes.
Welcome back, everyone. Chat, welcome back to Backyard Baseball here. Probably the final part of it that we're going to be doing for a while. After a pretty rough season here, we actually fucking made
With
it
Stev
to...
gone, I'm the new president of the Long Boy. Oh, hi, Stev, where did you come from?
I came from your ass, and I came from the dugout right here, because we're going to be continuing that. We're facing the Tasty Cheeses at Big City Stadium here. We managed to clinch a playoff berth here, and we are in the Super Entire Nation tournament, which I imagine is probably like essentially like, you know, our league championship and then the World Series, right? So chat, this right here is for all the marbles, all right? We managed to clinch a playoff berth. If you were here last time, everybody was in top form. Everyone from Pablo Sanchez to Jorge Garcia was hitting natural home runs. Like, not even like aluminum power assisted. They were just knocking that shit out of the park, right? Like, they were putting their back into it. They were locked the fuck in, all right? Especially in the second game. Like, Jorge Garcia, he became a GOAT in my eyes in the last stream. Like, this man, when we stand next to him, we know we feel the power. Oh-way-oh, oh-way-oh. And Stephanie Morgan also fucking did good. Luann's the only one that needed the assistance of aluminum power, but you know, that's fine. I'm not expecting like big like offensive miracles from her. That's okay. But no, like everyone was at top form. The only one that's really a weak link right now is Reese. The only one that's really a weak link right now is Reese. And like we've kind of positioned him in such a way to where all he needs to do is get on base, right? The only thing he needs to do right now is get on base, and then Mikey Thomas sends him home. Like, that's all we're expecting from him, you know? So far, this team fielding lineup and our batting lineup, it feels like the best that we can do in this situation. So, honestly, I think we have the team here. I feel like this right here is a team that is ready for November. So let's see if they got the fucking stomach for it. Let's play ball. Oh my god, we have banners for the different years. Do they have their own like do they have like their own like commentary booth here? They fucking have like a commentary pen here. They got like office fucking cabinets and stuff like that. We're really doing it up here. Listen, man, he's out here hustling. Listen, man, we know about Vinny the Gooch's tax evasion, okay? Okay. Already, dude, we're already sneaking in the batter fucking rhymes here. Let's do it. But no, we know about Vinny the Gooch's tax evasion. He literally said himself at the beginning of the season. He can't afford to pay them on the salary that he's that he's being given. All right. All right, we're starting with Mr. Clanky at the mound, chat. Let's do it. Oh, nice! Immediately fed it to him. Dude, everyone here is an ace. Dude, if everybody's an ace, then who's not an ace? You know? If everybody's an ace, no one will be. Dude, are we about to go 3 up and 3 down on the first inning? Oh, yes, we are. Just complete fucking shutout there. All right. Honestly, could not ask for a better start than that.
Hello, Mario.
Is the game supposed to be muted?
He could never find them again.
No, it's not. Thank you very much.
One strike, still some breathing room.
No, it's not. Hold on. So what happens if I go to the clubhouse here?
Battle from start to finish, but tasty. Jesus came away with the victory.
Oh, wow. Did we just forfeit the game there?
My mom's making noodles.
Uh-oh. That's nice, Vinny. Okay, okay, good. Good, never mind. That's a little embarrassing. Chat, come on now. Okay. A saved matchup has been found. Do you want to continue? No, we're fucking resetting there.
A hearty hi-ho, sports fans. Welcome back to another great game of baseball. I'm Sunny Day, and with me is Vinny the Gooch.
How's it going?
Well, Vinny, today seems like a bright and sunny...
I'm willing to forfeit a fucking
don't you think?
Sure. Shutout in the first half of the inning.
Nasty glare in your eye. Sonny, let me tell you, back in '01, I remember a kid was perfectly lined up to steal a base, but then got this nasty glare in his eye. He couldn't see and thought the ball had been thrown ahead of him, so he turned around, but his turning around is what caught the pitcher's attention. Poor kid was down and out in seconds.
Wow, Vinny, that's quite a story. Well, hopefully our players...
And that's not even the worst of it. This kid then goes up to pitch and
Vinny.
He's aiming real tried and true.
Vinny!
What? What's the matter?
Don't you think it's time to start the game?
Oh, I see. Sorry there, folks. I guess I've gotten a bit sentimental in my old age.
Vinny, you're not old.
Trust me, kid. You may not feel it now, but you will when you get to my age.
We're the same age, Vinny.
My back hurts, chat.
Playing in today's matchup are Humongous, Hornets, and...
My back really hurts.
Back at it again. They don't call it the playoffs for nothing, Sonny. The pressure's building up, and it's...
Alright.
Ball in the air.
Let's fucking do it, chat.
The MVP herself, Jacinda Smith.
Jacinda.
It's Jacinda Smith. She puts the pow in power.
Mr. Clank
Probably the actual ace of the tasty cheeses here.
On the mound in an actual game. Good luck getting a hit today.
Alright, let's do it.
And that's a strike.
Gurgle, 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 and most importantly, gurgle.
Nice.
Not the time to choke. 2 strikes.
Can we repeat a complete shutout here in the inning?
That swing must have been practiced for hours.
Dude, what are you doing?
We've got a runner on first.
Oh my goodness.
Here comes
Never mind. No, we cannot repeat the shutout.
No, we will not.
For the newcomer.
Oh, you're right.
the batter.
Dude, not only that.
Slings it.
Oh my god, if we cannot get her out here, I swear. No!
Now these kids
What a play, dude. What a fucking play. She went long for that too. Wow.
and the ball's been sent soaring
Come on.
through the sky.
Really? No, we're gonna have to hold her at second. Now we're gonna have to hold her at second there.
Stepping up to the plate with big dreams and a bigger swing, it's our favorite rookie.
A new face steps in as batter.
This one's coming in with some heat.
Strike one.
I'm sorry, Dan. I don't really know what to say to that.
Smokes that
I guess I'm sorry for your loss.
extension. Quick throw to the pitcher. Look out! Here comes the newcomer, ready to rock the stadium.
Let's see if this kid can actually ball.
Frankly, I don't want to talk about death right at the start of a backyard baseball stream.
And just like that, they're on the board. Look out! Here comes the newcomer,
And they start
ready to rock.
and they start with a friggin' run right there.
Kid who looks like they practiced their home run.
Strike one.
All right, we need to like, we need to change it up here. I need to get them chasing. Chase. There, I just thought you would want to know. I mean...
What a rip! You have dirt on your shoes. They brought home the...
I don't know why they just stop at the ball, dude. I point to the ball and nothing happens.
Stepping up to the plate with big dreams and a bigger swing, it's our favorite rookie.
Let's see if this kid can actually...
A bouncing...
Okay, good. Good. Wait, was that 2 fouls? No, it was just the 1. Okay. Nice, got on the chase.
No pressure.
Nice, struck him out. Struck him out so bad that their bat just turned invisible.
Here comes the neighborhood's newest ace, towing the rubber and ready to deal.
A new face steps in as batter.
Let's see if the
Nice.
one managed to slip through. Grounder to left field. The
Get him!
fielder's got it.
Nice.
You'll get him in the next inning.
All right, we could do it.
We have Pete Wheeler stepping up to the plate.
Dude, if anyone can put us on the board here, it's Pete Wheeler.
He's headed in the right direction.
All right, Pete, square it up. No, but he's... no, but he fed it to... Dude, he fed it to the outfield. God damn it.
It's the pint-sized powerhouse, Pablo Sanchez walking...
Never wanted to mention this earlier, but I never knew giraffes had such strong jaws. They do, man. Dude, we got strong everything. We got strong necks. We got strong jaws. We got strong legs. Like, have you ever seen, like, a giraffe kick a lion? They've been known to kick their heads off.
With the ball.
I mean, they've been known to kick their heads off, at least according to zoo books. Which, honestly, I see zoo books as law. You know?
The postage collecting kid has come to stamp out the competition. It's Reese Worthington up to bat.
Reese, just get the ball in play, dude. Just get it in play, and then Mikey will take you home.
One strike on the count.
Just get the ball in play, and Mikey's gonna take you home. Alright? No! Dang. Fed it right to the fielder, man. Alright, well, we need to bust out the Mikey Thomas nuke here.
Kid is an impressive force on the plate. Just make sure to sanitize the
No, like...
when he's done with it.
That swing must have been practiced for...
Oh, power hit it. Go to third. Go to third. Oh my gosh. Pablo, take it home. Take it home. Let's fucking go. On the board. On the board, it never felt so good. Oh, hey, oh. It's time. It's time. It's Jorge time.
Line drive.
And he fucked it.
That'll do it for them this inning.
He had one game where he was good, Chad, I promise. Last game he was awesome. Not this time though.
Newest ace, towing the rubber and ready to deal. The crowd is...
I could barely hang on to the plants I fed to Penelope. I mean, dude, we're starving. You know? Like, you offer us food, we want it. Like, we're very simple creatures in that regard. I saw some penguins at the zoo's aquarium, and one of the penguins was just hopping around just enjoying the falling snow in the enclosure. It was like, oh my god, I freaking... Oh, that's so cute! Aw. Dude. Dude, I love the pangolins. Very, very much. Ah, no! Are you kidding me? Dude, he found a hole.
First base is occupied.
He friggin' found a hole in the infield and no one was there to catch it.
Lucinda Smith looked to earn her MVP nickname.
Alright, we're gonna go ahead and we're gonna send people to the back here a little bit.
Knocks one into right field. Fires it over. Out of it.
Nice! We'll take those, we'll take those. A double play is so hard in this game, chat.
Here comes the newcomer.
A double play is like unnecessarily hard in this, I feel like. I'm sorry, that's not her voice. What?
Lobbers it.
No, are you kidding me? Throw it. What? Ah, dude, are you kidding me? The pangolins really like staring at us through the other side of the window when they were swimming. It's really fun seeing like aquatic animals there, dude. Especially like, you know, the North American otter. Nothing cuter. God damn it, dude.
3 players on all 3 bases.
This does not bode well for us.
This batter is cleaning the bases. Game time.
Okay, hold on. I'm gonna... I need to put you on the bench, brother. Kenny, get in there. Get on that mound, Kenny. We need you to friggin' lock in. Ah, made her waste the aluminum power.
Kenny Kawaguchi.
She was looking for it, dude. I caught her lacking. I caught her lacking. Nice. I also saw a giant king penguin chick. It looked almost as big as Pesto was. My god, Pesto the penguin? Dude, I remember Pesto the penguin. What?
A little outside.
I remember writing about him when I was in the news station. As kind of like, you know, I don't want to call it a filler story. But it was definitely like, you know, a thing where it was like, well, this is kind of a fun thing to end the newscast on, you know?
Ready to rock this stadium.
I fucking remember Pesto the pangolin. My goat.
That's a ball.
Or penguin in this case, I guess. Ah, no! Come on!
They mean business today.
We did give that one away. Honestly. That should not have been a thing that happened just now. Alright, we're gonna get the chase. Nice.
And that's a strike.
Give him the chase. Hello there, Julian. How are you doing? Can we watch None Out instead of All In? I don't think TK has commissioned that pay-per-view yet. Maybe in the future. Chase. Chase. Ah, dude. Into the dugout.
Ooh, that's 2 bad throws.
Listen, man. Call them bad. Call them calculated.
Pitch with personality. The fielder's got it.
Ah! Yes! Ah, we minimized the damage there. Good. It was scary and amazing seeing the sharks so up close, especially when you were swimming, especially when they were swimming right over us in the aquarium's tank. Dude, you had a giant aquarium there too? That's sick as hell.
Translate that knowledge into a home run.
Few kids know baseball.
The aquarium section at my zoo really isn't too much. It's mostly, you know, kind of like a fish tank section, and also like there's, sorry, there's like, you know, like, oh my gosh, oh my god, that's out of here. That's fucking out of here. Okay, right foot creep. Hold on, I'm waiting for her to hit the emote. Holy shit. Wow. Deontay, I hope you were here to see that, because holy fucking shit. Your girl's in her bag again. That was good. Alright, yeah, we just... It's fine if you're just on base, it's okay. She drove that out of here. Like, that was textbook. Right there. Oh, and Mr. Clanky with one of his own, and it's out of the park. Wow. We're back, dude. We're back. We're so fucking back. Dude, and I popped an achievement. Hit 30 home runs.
Some say that bear holds the spirit.
But no, at my aquarium, sorry, we have. Ah, what?
Mario. Looking a bit confused.
Only in this game could you catch a screaming line drive like that. All right, well, do we have a game here? We have a game.
Those fielders are gonna need to man a blimp to catch that one.
Throws it over.
Nice.
Base is occupied.
We never left. Dude, based on this playing, absolutely not. We never left. We've been here the whole fucking time. Also, hi, Zach. I need to see the new Spider-Man as well.
Strike one.
It's weird because my roommate's usually like a big Spider-Man guy. Like, usually like he wants to see the movies. But he's not talked to me about them like at all. So like I'm almost tempted to like, oh my god. We're in our bag again, dude. Pablo with the fucking Pablo special right there. Wow.
He may not be breathing easy, but Reese Worthington
Dude.
is calm at bat.
We went from it's so over to we're so back in the blink of an eye. With 3 massive home runs in a single inning.
That kid hit a rope.
Only thing that would make it better is if Reese Worthington got one too. Oh, goodness. I feel like that shouldn't have been an out.
Ooh, I can feel a home run coming on.
Hopefully it's not a sneeze. That's a ball. Yep. But no,
Oh
I
my
almost
god, I
wanna,
just
like...
won 50,000 Cheetos thanks to Pablo.
Dude, you're cashing out now. Look at that. You always gotta bet on the weapon, brother. But now you gotta bet on goddamn Mikey Thomas.
Be careful now.
Are they gonna walk Mikey here? Mikey!
Means goodbye, baby. Ugh, do I have to run the bases now?
Do it, man! Woo! Mikey with the power! That immune system is working overtime, brother. Only thing that would make this even more goated is if goddamn Jorge Garcia gets one too. Mikey hitting the damn lights.
A clean pitch flying straight through the center.
Well, unfortunately, Mikey hit the damn lights. He did! Dude, that's gonna come out of our friggin' take home here. That's gonna come out of our take here. You know? Like, that shit just doesn't grow on trees. Alright?
One strike, still some breathing room.
I put 500 on Mikey and got 1,000 Cheetos.
That's how it fucking works, brother. I mean, that's how we get it done.
Runners on first and second.
That's how it works, man. That's how we get it done.
Here comes the power.
Alright, we need the crazy blunt here. Alright. Go home! Jorge, go home!
A textbook trip around the bases. And the batter's got a double.
Add another one.
Go, 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 go! Go, 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 go! They cleared the bases!
Now this is more like it.
Inside the park home run, courtesy of the crazy butt. Wow! Dude, this is a monstrous inning here. What is that, like 10 runs in the span of a single inning? Yeah, that's 10 runs. Like, look at the scoreboard. They had to invent space on the scoreboard because we're playing so good.
We've got a runner on first.
Like, chat, take a look at the scoreboard here.
Little Luann Louis loops up to bat.
Wait, hold on.
Underestimate her. She's speedy.
Come on, bring it back up. Bring it back up.
Will run the bases before the catcher can even get the ball out of the glove.
Dude, that bunt wasn't just crazy. It was mentally deranged. What was that? That was the mentally deranged bunt, dude. Come on. You're not scared of Lil Luann, right?
Ooh, that's two bad throws.
You're not scared of Lil Luann, are you, pitcher?
Ball 3.
I think he's scared of her. I think he's scared of her, dude.
Hit hard.
That was a
man.
impressive performance.
Oh man.
We have Pete Wheeler stepping up to the plate.
You let him psych you out, Luann. You let him psych you out. You can't let him live inside your head. You gotta be the one that's in her head. You know? I have Hardcore Holly's book. I hear that the last line of that book is him quoting his own theme music, which like is honestly the funniest thing of all time. Literally the final thing is him asking the reader, "How do you like me now?" And I'm just like, dude, he's locked in on this. He's locked in on the gimmick. Insanely. Would the homunculus make a good baseball manager? I don't think so.
Here comes the newcomer, ready to rock the stadium. Batter up.
I feel like he would be taking bribes under the table crazy. I mean, we know what makes him talk, chat. It's really not that much.
The ball whizzes down towards center.
No! Why are you going away from the ball, Mr. Clanky?
First base is occupied.
Why would you go away from the ball like that? That makes no sense.
Here comes the neighborhood's newest ace, towing the rubber and ready to deal.
A new face steps in as batter. Let's see if the kid's got the swing to match the swagger.
All right.
A little dribbler. Flux it. Say goodbye to that baseball.
Dude, that was probably the closest that I've ever gotten to a double play, I feel like.
Up to the plate with big dreams and a bigger swing. It's our favorite rookie.
Let's see if this kid can actually ball, or if they're just good standing there. Personally, I like the sneakers.
Right to the pitcher. Picks it up. Rifles it.
Nah, are you kidding me, dude? Both of them are safe.
Jocinda Smith looked to earn her MVP nickname at bat.
They don't call
But no,
nothing. This kid will send you packing.
I guess I'll ask, how is Hardcore Holly's book? Is it worth anything?
Yikes.
The batter with swagger has moves like Jagger.
Rounder to left field.
Apparently they're better at more than just standing there. They're not just good at standing there, dude.
The neighborhood's newest ace, towing the rubber and
I'm telling you, dude, if everybody here is the ace,
Looks like they practiced that
then nobody is.
in the mirror this morning.
one managed to slip through.
I'm sorry, but that is a 35-year-old voice. What?
A long one and
No. No, are you kidding me? That was a gimme.
they brought home
That was such a gimme there, Luann. I read the whole thing. Is it like any good or no?
I get my fastball at 112 miles per hour.
And that's a ball, folks.
Yes.
Strike one.
Did he talk about constantly feuding with Al Snow at any point? Because based on what I've been listening to at the Deadlock podcast,
And a miss.
those two are pretty much linked to the hip all throughout 1999.
And drove one into right.
Oh my god, dude. Oh my god.
Book trip around.
Oh my god.
Look out! Here
Like, it was always hardcore and snow, or it was crashing snow. It was always one of those two combinations, you know?
Makes a dive at it.
Dude, we cannot be throwing this away here.
1997.
I'm about to bring Reese Worthington into the No, I'm bringing him into the infield, dude. I'm bringing Reese Worthington into the infield.
When the balls on top of the walls that are really tall, the fall of those balls will call for doom for all.
That's bars, brother. Put that shit over one beer and you've got something. Genuinely, I think that Jorge would be a better fielder out here than Reese. So I'm putting him at first base. I think his stats are a complete lie, chat. Ah, you thought, dude. You fucking thought. You thought that you had something there.
Yikes. That's a ball.
I suggest you don't blink. Lines toward right.
Go to the fucking ball, man. Good lord.
Look out! Here comes the newcomer, ready to rock this stadium.
Watch me go.
But no, I've not read too many like wrestling books, personally. I mean, I've read Mox's book, and I read, you know, the one that was officially released by AEW. I will say that I know that Jon Moxley is 100% on the spectrum, right? As a fellow autistic man, I know that he's 100% on the spectrum. Because there's whole entire chapters of that book where he's doing nothing but talking about, like, sandwich... You know, like, he's doing nothing. Sorry, I know that he's autistic. I know that Mox is autistic. Because he has an entire chapter where he talks nothing but sandwich diagrams and how to best cut a sandwich.
No dice. One
right?
strike on the count.
In that chapter, it becomes like a picture book almost, right? Like Mox has entire not just paragraphs, but diagrams, right? But diagrams where he goes over the proper ways of like cutting a sandwich in like perfect quadrants. Like, you do not make that and then still call yourself a neurotypical person, right?
Incredible.
Oh god, fucking damn it, dude. Ah!
Here comes the newcomer.
I did read those books all the way through, yes. Or at least I read Mox's all the way through. I did not read the AEW one all the way through yet. Right, well, who is... Okay, here. Alright, Luann's gonna be the closer.
Hey, ladder.
That's a new one. Hey, ladder.
She's sure to take out anyone who even thinks about stealing a base.
Inventive goddamn stuff there from Pete Wheeler.
But I've seen her throw a fireball so mean, it split through an aluminum power bat.
Line drive. Stretches out for the ball.
Hello,
Mario.
Good. We're blowing it.
Playing baseball.
Luann, get him the chase.
This one's raring to go.
Where'd the ball go?
Oh, that's an unfortunate number.
One.
Hello there, Yam. How are you doing? Hey, ladder. We want a ladder, not a broken batter.
Ooh, that's just embarrassing.
Teddy's throwing this next one.
Come on, one more.
Wow, the pitcher isn't.
No! Go! Who's covering third?
Around the bases.
Who the fuck is covering third? She was sweating up a storm, and no one was there to cover it. What are we doing? We are blowing Dude, we're about to blow a 10-run lead.
Patented petty tag game blow. Right back to the pitcher.
I'm sorry. Who the fuck is at the home plate? Mikey, where are you? Where'd you go? Oh, man, why?
Get ready to see some baseball.
You gotta sit down. You are not of the right age to be playing this. I'm actually gonna kill myself, dude. Why? Oh, man. Dude.
Yikes. That's a ball.
Dude. We're blowing a 9-run lead. We're washed. We're washed! We're absolutely washed!
That'll leave a mark.
Taking the mound today, this batter is cool.
We're absolutely washed, man!
One strike, still some breathing room.
This is a legendary fumble.
All eyes are on the pitch. That'll end this.
Oh my god.
Next time, kid.
13. 13 runs in the span of a single inning. Dude, I was right. We blew like an 8 or 9 run lead.
Here to show us how it's done.
Hasta la vista, bola.
Okay, maybe I need to pay more attention to our fielding in the future.
Slips through the gap.
Just stay at first base. We need to play this shit safe, dude. 13? How unlucky. I know!
Breathing easy, but
Listen. Just get on base.
ooh, a tricky play, batter. Out at second.
Runner on first.
I can't believe it, dude. I can't believe this. I don't know what to say. I don't know what to say.
And that's a ball.
After we clinched. After we came back fighting.
And belted.
We can't.
Runners out.
And we're just gonna throw it away.
He's bonkers at batting. It's Jorge Garcia.
I hope you washed your hands before you picked up that ball.
I need you to be the GOAT again, dude.
Ball one.
I need Jorge to be the GOAT again.
Swing goes the batter.
We take those. We take those.
Runners
Alright, who's up next? Is it Kenny?
Look at the stance. I'm sure
Okay.
going to pop this one out of the park.
One perfect swing. Coming right up.
And drove one into right field. That's all, folks.
It was fun while it lasted.
One perfect swing. Coming right up. Fucking just feeds it to first base. Just delivers it right to him. Hello, sir. Your Uber Eats is here. And it is an out served up on a silver platter. Your fucking Uber Eats is here, brother.
Somebody pinch me because this is too good.
You don't have to be the best team to win. But today, the best team won.
Wow. Someone order a baseball on first base because your Uber Eats is here, dude. At least one team should. You know what? You know what? I'll agree with him. I'll agree with him here. We did not show up for this. And now we are on the back foot here. Now we're on the back foot. We could lose everything here. Here in this next game. Okay, so I feel like that going forward, we need to think a bit better about our fielding, right? I'm cooked. I'm back. I'm cooked. That was literally that whole game, dude. That was the whole game. That was me, like, just ebbing and flowing between, oh, we're so back. Oh, we're so cooked. Oh, we're so back. Oh, we're so cooked. You know? It was just that. The entire time. Alright, chat. I'm gonna run an ad before we go to the next game. See you all in a few.
It's break time. Where are the Cheetos, my dudes?
Mr. Turtle, how many licks does it take to get to the Tootsie Roll center of a Tootsie Pop?
I never made it without biting. Ask Mr. Owl.
Mr. Owl, how many licks does it take to get to the Tootsie Roll center of a Tootsie Pop?
Let's find out. 1, 2, 3.
How many licks does
Note to self, go back into the VOD and find the part where you're talking about John Moxley's autism. Dad, do you think that this ad was made with Silicon Graphics computers?
When you drive to Wendy's and order a single, you get more beef than the Whopper or the Big Mac. At Wendy's, you never have to ask, where's the beef?
Om nom nom. Oh, excuse me, we're back, my dudes.
Welcome back to Raw, everybody. Okay, so I've had a bit of time to think about it, right? I've had a bit of time to calm down, think about it. We suck again. Like, we stink again. And I don't really know how to fix that right now. I think that the main thing we need to do is we just need to get better at our fielding, you know? Maybe I need to, like, push them further out into the field. If I haven't already done that, I think we need to push them... I think we need to push our guys out further into the field. Because just a lot of stuff just ends up going over our heads, and we're not there to either catch it or get to it in time before they, you know, get on base.
Vinius Vincenzo Theodore Giovanni Edward MacDonald Gucciarello. Vinny the Gooch for short.
Oh, I see.
Why do they call you Sunny Day?
That's 'cause when I was born, my parents said it was the sunniest day of their lives. Isn't that sweet?
Sounds mushy to me. I like the name Rainy.
Yeah, well, you wouldn't be able to play baseball on a rainy day, now could you?
Well, you could, but I suppose it wouldn't go as smoothly.
Exactly.
All right, fine. Your point is taken. Your name is cool.
Thank you. Let's get down to business.
Stepping into the arena are humongous hornets and tasty cheeses.
The chick with big boobies rolls at big doobies while watching Scooby on Tubi.
Watching SpongeBob and Scooby-Dooby-Doo. Chilling on the weekend like usual. Watching SpongeBob and Scooby-Dooby-Doo. She took the wires to my PlayStation. She doing too much. I didn't wipe my butt. I just pooped and got up. She got the cutest daughter, so I went to pick her up, and then I almost tossed her because she really kicked me right in my nuts. I had to put some ice on them.
Here comes the neighborhood's newest ace, towing the rubber and ready to deal.
The crowd is buzzing for the newcomer. No pressure, kid.
The one that's kicking you in the nuts is probably Luann, to be honest.
There aren't many that can outpitch Kenny K. A spectacular combination of muscle and brains.
This kid is one of the coolest pitchers I know, and fast.
All right, Kenny.
He's a
Lock
man's
in.
worst nightmare.
That one gets through.
Fed it right to him. Good job, buddy.
The runner's out of there.
That's my boy. That's Kenny by God Kawaguchi, brother.
Let's see if this kid can
Set us up for success here, dude.
A swing and a miss. One managed to slip through.
That's my fucking goat. Nice.
2 strikes.
Strike him out, dude.
I suggest you don't blink. That one's trying to reach the
No. What? Yeah, what? I'm sorry. She caught that. She freaking caught that ball. Did she not, chat?
It's hopeless. Our playoff dreams are crushed. The humongous Hornets may not see the World Series this year, but in the future 100%.
Homunculus, I don't need you. Listen, man, last I checked, you're not the manager of this fucking team, okay? You need to stop being such a naysayer and actually fucking lock in with us, okay? As far as I'm concerned, it's not over until the fat lady sings. Alright?
A new face steps in as batter. Let's see if the kid's got the swing.
And today, the fat lady is gonna sing all over the tasty cheeses. And their playoff dreams. Rather, in their World Series dreams. Here today.
That's it for the runner. Crowd's on your side.
Alright. Well, we got one out.
Here comes the newcomer.
Kenny.
I think my fastball is 112 miles per hour.
Well, let's see if that's right, man. I want you to bust it out.
Right back to the pitcher. You're moving like that retires the side. That's the inning.
That is Kenny by God Kawaguchi there, brother. Shut him down. Good job, man.
Wheelie going to knock it out of the park. Pete Wheeler has stepped up to bat.
Rumor has it that Pete once ran so fast that his shoes fell off, and he could never find them again.
All right. That's a ball.
A little outside. Ball 1.
I feel like if anyone can hit it out of the park here, it's old Pete Wheeler.
Strike.
I think he's got the dog in him, dude.
Ooh, that pitch is short, twisted.
That's my stupid idiot.
Oh, whoa, that was a good thing, right?
That is my dumbass king right there. Called the shot, and he didn't miss.
It's the pint-sized powerhouse.
I enjoy how like ominous the commentators look up on top of like the the commentary box. And with that, dude, that swings a statement. We are here to play today. And that right there was a reminder that we shouldn't get so, uptight.
Reese has allergies, but he's not allergic to home.
Maybe I should speak too soon yet. We still have 3 innings to play.
Got all of that one.
Nice job. Just get on base, Reese. Good job.
Runner on first.
Yep, just get on base, brother.
He's blown his nose.
And now.
He's ready to blow the
Now Mikey Thomas is about to give that achoo special.
Whoa! Foul ball.
He's about to blow this out of the freaking park.
It's headed straight back to the outfield.
Or maybe not.
Throws it over.
He can make it, he can make it, he can make it. Good job.
Runners on first and third.
Stay on base, Reese, or we'll smash you to pieces. Now that's bars.
If money could buy home runs.
Old Reese's Pieces over there. You know what? You know what? Fucking Reese's Pieces is a great nickname for him.
No dice.
Strike one. That kid.
Because he'll swing that ball to pieces there. I do in fact get it. I think we're gonna call him Reese's Pieces from now on.
Bubbles knows everything.
Again, why is a junior accountant even playing baseball? I mean, have you seen the natural home run that he hit? I mean, that put him in GOAT status in my eyes. And in no other time did it happen.
I haven't seen anything this crazy since the game of 1997.
Always a fan favorite, Kenny Kawaguchi is up to bat.
Dude, Stephanie Morgan is coming alive here. She is becoming Miss November right here.
Smacks one towards the gap. That's all.
Alright, we're...
Hello, Mario.
We are in good shape. Darkspine! Darkspine, I don't think I've seen you here in quite a while, actually. How are you doing? Welcome on into tonight's Long Boy Club meeting. Can someone check? Is she natty? I heard the laughter too. I didn't mean to big time it, but yeah, I heard that too. There's someone in there going insane. Can someone check? I think she's using performance enhancers. I don't know, man. Like, listen. You hear the commentators big up Stephanie Morgan all the time. Like, she comes up with purpose. She's studied the tapes. Like, no one on this team knows the game of baseball better than Stephanie Morgan, okay? Performance enhancers are Sammy Sosa's thing anyways. Let's do it. As much as I love my beloved Cubs, Sammy Sosa was crazy for that. That and the gimmicked bat that he had. My bad, I've been busy. No, that's fine. I understand that, you know, especially in the space that we're in, I sort of expect a lot of my peers to be, you know, doing their own thing. It's okay. It's super hot right now, but I'm trying to chill. How hot is it over in your neck of the woods? Because it's become pretty temperate over here in, you know, Northeast Indiana. Hi there, Patch. Welcome on into tonight's Long Boy Club meeting. We might actually be able to win this game right here. After blowing a generational lead in the last game, I need this team to show that they can still hang. Okay?
This one's coming in with some heat.
Hello, Mario.
Oh! Nice!
Hello, Mario.
Ah! That big ol' head of Pete Wheeler caught it, dude. He caught that right in his freaking brainstem. Dude, he caught that ball right in his brainstem. That's insane.
A nasty pitch with a lot of heat.
Come on. Yes! Jorge! Let's go. I knew putting you in the outfield was a good idea. Meep. Hello, Ace. Hello, Parker. Welcome on in. We have a lot of people here tonight, it feels like. Thank you all very much for showing up for the final bits of the Humongous Hornets season. Whether or not we get... so far this particular game is better than the last one we played. Because the last one we played, we were leading by 8 runs, and we blew that just monumentally. Like, it's insane, like, how big we blew that lead, and then ended up losing the game.
Kids got the swing to match the swagger.
Nice! Nice job, Luann. No, the game overall, I'd say it's pretty good. I mean, there's still some jank to it, and you know, and just presentation issues too. But the devs seem to be pretty active in terms of like working on it. So like if you want like, you know, a modern backyard baseball experience, this definitely delivers on it. So
Our favorite baseball bot is up to bat. Clanky.
it got a lot of heat when it first came out, and I feel like some of that was pretty justified. But I feel like that the game has sort of, you know, come a little bit of ways from that. The only thing that I would probably say is a big turnoff for it is the fact it's $40. You know? Because what you're getting for $40 is not really all that different from what you would be getting in like 97 or 2001.
Some say that
you know?
holds the spirit of a legendary ball player, and that's why.
But it seems like that they're committed to, you know, improving the game.
I just made that up.
Ball one.
So like I recommend it, but I would probably wait for it to go down in price first before, you know, jumping on it.
Good hits come and go.
Dude, they're letting Clanker play baseball now. Is nothing safe from AI? Hey, don't sully. Listen, Dan. Don't sully the good name of Mr. Clanky. Don't you remember when Mr. Clanky was there for you? When he taught you how to be a better batter? When he pitched us to that perfect game? Don't you dare disparage the good name of Mr. Clanky. Not after he's done so much for me, for you, for us. Alright? Like, look at him go. Like, this is not artificial intelligence. That is pure fucking...
Experience heartbreak one day or another.
The living legend, Pablo.
Yeah, maybe I shouldn't talk so much. I kind of cursed him there. I kind of cursed him there. Sorry about that, Mr. Clinky. I was gassing you up a little bit too much when I should have been using oil.
Sanchez, show us how it's done.
Okay, Pablo, lock in. It went out of the park for me, dude.
That one's headed way back.
I'm glad
Nope.
I didn't break that window. The ball whizzes down towards center.
Ball?
Yikes.
Ball. Okay, good.
Don't let the new face fool you. This kid is about to bring some serious heat to the hill.
With the ball.
So close to staying in play.
That was way too early, dude. Come on, Pablo, don't strike out. Fine, we take those. We take those. We take those. We absolutely take those.
He may not be
Oh, Reese. Reese. Wait. Special. Undergrounder. Run. I'm sorry? That's actually bullshit, dude.
That's a ball, folks.
You can just have a bad swing on one of those now.
Rough.
Ball, good. That's dog rough, dude.
A crazy clean drive straight.
No way! It found a hole! It found a hole!
All three bases are loaded. Another.
I knew it. If anyone could outrun that, it's Pete Wheeler. Good job, man.
Mikey Thomas is up to bat.
Ugh. Well, listen. Bet he's gonna hit it out of here.
Ooh, a tricky play.
He did not hit it out of here.
Rifles it.
Incredible.
All right.
Was just scored.
All right, we're good. We're good.
He's bonkers at batting. It's
Watch.
Jorge Garcia.
I paid some people in the crowd to cheer for me.
Jorge, that won't matter unless you hit it, okay? I need you to lock in and hit this thing out of here. All right?
Right into center field.
God damn it.
That's a wrap.
Well, okay, listen, we're sitting fine. We just need to get through this last inning, and then the series is tied. And then the series is actually tied. No, Darkspine. Darkspine. Have you played backyard baseball at all? It's in the 70s to 80s Fahrenheit, but it's just really humid. It was really humid earlier, like, yesterday, too. It's like, I understand what you mean there.
Round ball up the first baseline.
For some reason, in my brain, it's still, like, 90 degrees, even though it's very, very much not that. I told you it was a bad idea to let the junior accountant play baseball. Listen, man. Listen, man, we just need to be here for the team at this time, okay? Mr. 3 innings right here. Mr. 3 innings on the mound right here. Complete shutout. You did it. Yeah. That right there set us up for success. That very first one, that very first home run, that set us up for success. Oh my god, he won't. Pete Wheeler won't stop emoting.
But the victory belongs to Humongous Hornets today.
Sure does.
What you call a comeback. Well, maybe not.
He won't stop emoting.
I'm Sunny Day, and it's been a pleasure bringing you all the action. See you next time.
and now he's A-posing right there. My dude is literally, dude, he is the most video game character out of everybody here. He was built for this right here. Where are they adding Pete Wheeler to Fortnite? Well, listen, man, if anyone is built for that, it's Pete Wheeler, okay? Like he's cut for this cloth. Like he's fucking cut from this cloth. He was built to be a 1,000 V-Bucks skin in the item shop. Okay. I pay $10 for Pete Wheeler at least. Okay, it looks like whoever wins this is gonna go on to face the Crunchy Cookies in the next game. How are we doing on time here? 47 minutes until the next ad break. I think we can do this. If we're still not done, mods, with this next game, you know, when they start warning me about, you know, an upcoming ad, please snooze them for however long you can. Yeah, dude, we're packed here.
Greetings and salutations. The resplendent Sunny Day here with my unflappable counterpart, Vinny the Gooch.
Unsplendable?
To let you borrow my thesaurus.
Lament no longer. My heightened articulations will desist at the appropriate juncture.
What?
Cease your vexation, and let us partake in the spectacle of Orb and Cudgel.
Stop talking, you're making my brain...
Orm and Cudgel?
Hornets. And tasty cheeses are ready to play ball. You'll want to stay tuned in, folks. This game is gonna get intense. Time for the main event, baby.
Yep. It will. Because whoever loses this, they go home for the season. Meanwhile, whoever wins it, they go on to the next round.
Look out! Here
Let's do it.
the newcomer, ready to rock this stadium.
Let's see if this kid can actually ball, or if they're just good standing there. Personally, I like the sneakers.
You gonna say anything about Kenny before we throw? Okay, there we go.
Kenny Kawaguchi.
Kenny Kawaguchi has a generational arm.
He does.
Taking note.
He fucking does, man. He's Kenny by God Kawaguchi. Watch this. Dude, that was in the zone and we got in the chase.
I think my fastball is 112 miles per hour.
You know what? After seeing what you just did, I'm inclined to agree with you.
Dives for it. Wings it.
fine. We held him at first. It's okay.
Look out! Here comes the newcomer, ready to rock the stadium.
Now here's a kid who looks like they practiced their home run trot in the mirror this morning.
Why is Ahmed Khan in the audience? I keep thinking that like all these kids are on the different team here, but like none of them really like do anything on the team. So, but none of them actually are on the team.
Look to earn her MVP nickname at bat.
They don't call her MVP for nothing. This kid will send you packing.
I don't know, man. Every time that I feel like every time that I've seen Jocinda, she has done nothing but disappoint me. Why are you going past the ball? Like we may as well not even throw it. Why exactly are we going past the ball?
Actually ball, or if they're just good standing there. Personally, I like the sneakers.
A little outside. Ball 1.
They're the same sneakers that they all have, Vinny. Like the style of this team is very homogenized.
Still some breathing room. Ground ball up the first baseline.
Nice. Oh no. Oh man, well that right there was just me not paying attention.
We want
honestly.
Vinny the Gucci, not an itchy coochie.
Vinny the Gooch, not an itchy cooch? Oh my god, they're flagging coochie?
They're aggressive, tenacious.
That's so stupid, man.
Look out! Here comes the newcomer, ready to rock the stadium.
The crowd is buzzing for the newcomer.
Come on, we need to get out of this inning without allowing a run.
Just the entire
chopper to third. Flex it.
Yes!
Over to the next side.
Good job being there, Mikey. I was a little afraid you wouldn't be. After a couple games ago.
A bit confused, we have Pete Wheeler stepping up to the plate.
Wheelie is the fastest member on the team, as long as he's headed in the right direction.
Not an Chiguchi. Well, that's TMI, brother. Wow.
And felt it.
Nice. No, I don't think you're fast, Pete, but I don't think you're fast enough to outrun that.
Is here to show us how it's done.
Even though the secret weapon doesn't speak any English, we all know he's a rad dude.
All right. No, there we go. I'm not chasing that, dude. No way.
Swing goes the batter.
Of course I'll chase that, though.
Fires it over.
Freaking stupid of me. Go! Okay, Pete. Good. I didn't realize right click was also slide.
Kid has come to stamp out the competition. It's Reese Worthington up to bat.
Reese Worthington up to bat. Fielders might want to stand back for this one.
Yeah, you had to let him on base.
And there goes the runner.
What the?
They couldn't catch him if they tried.
Oh my god! Dude, and Pete took it upon himself, too, to friggin' steal home plate. Wow. Baited them into it.
Hit hard.
That was super good game sense from him. And also good game sense from Pablo. Wow.
Send them home. Bless you. Mikey Thomas is up.
All right, Mikey.
This kid is an impressive force on the plate. Just make sure to send
Get it out of the park, brother. I know you can. Maybe wait for one that's a little bit more center of the zone. Hold on.
A clean pitch down the line.
All right, well, listen, that's absolutely fine. You got Pablo home, which is really all I asked you to do. So, good job.
Carrying the best bat money can buy, it's Jorge Garcia.
Jorge is about to lay down the law on the baseball field. Maybe that's why he's dressed like a lawyer.
Boom! That one smoke.
Yeah, man, listen. It turns out that having an accountant play wasn't too bad of an idea, huh, Dan?
Few kids know baseball as well as Stephanie.
Dude, Omaha Zoo has a gorilla enclosure, and I swear one of the gorillas was intentionally posing for the visitor's camera. Really now?
Wish they had my sunglasses.
What makes you say that? Nice!
Aren't messing around.
Good job, Mikey. Go take a rest.
If this kid makes good contact with the ball,
I mean, that was a really risky play, but he actually made it out.
A little outside. Ball 1.
I'll show you when I share the photos in the Discord server.
Sent in to left field.
Sounds good, man. No, just stay right there. Just stay right there, Jorge.
Swing with the force of a truck. It's Mr. Clanky.
Mr. Clanky.
What else? Strike 1.
Everyone's favorite clanker. Let's do it.
That ball's got a chance.
sliced it like a pizza.
That's a ball.
Strike 3.
That was a ball. Get out of here, man.
Don't underestimate her. She's speedier than a grizzly. And will
That right there was a ball. Get out of here.
ball out of
1 strike on the count.
Fine, whatever.
That one gets through.
Oh! Wow.
Cross the plate. Safe and sound.
She found a hole and she went for it.
We have Pete Wheeler stepping
Incredible work there.
Wait.
Incredible work there from friggin' Luann. Good job. All right.
1 strike. Still some breathing room.
So chat, apparently in the actual MLB, we're just cooked now. if the current discourse I see is anything to go by, because the Dodgers are once again on their bullshit. Just like buying up all of like, you know, the good teams or like all the good players for, you know, the next season.
Around the bases.
And now everybody's like, well, what's the point of getting invested in any other team now when like all of them are just gonna be so fucking low on the totem pole now? Meanwhile, I see like Dodgers fans be like, they're like drinking in the tears of every other like fan. Because they're out here saying to themselves, I mean, listen, man, the fact that your team won't invest in itself, that right there is a skill issue.
He may not be breathing easy, but
That right there is a fucking skill issue.
maybe they'll walk me. Yeah, let's go with that plan.
You should not go with the Reese, I mean this with whole sincerity. Do not. Wow. Oh, man. Reese. I didn't know you had that power in you, bud.
Gave it the old college sound.
I didn't know Reese had that kind of power in him.
he's blown his nose. Now he's ready to blow the ball out of the park. It's Mikey Thomas.
Dude, what is happening now? We've had 2 series in a row where we start just absolute dog shit. And then it turns out, you know, we're dominating in the following 2 games.
Where'd the ball go? Strike 1.
I guess the Hornets just play like, you know, I'm better when there's more on the line.
Second.
He's bonkers at batting.
They come alive when their back is against the wall.
He could buy home runs. Jorge would be unstoppable.
No, come on, man. That was foul. No way. That's another natural home run for Jorge.
We're really testing the limits of gravity today.
Yes.
Dude, we really are.
A lot of money on the second market.
You're saying that you're gonna sell that ball on eBay? Nah, come on, man. Don't be that guy. That right there's a fan souvenir. You are not gonna go back and get that ball. If anyone's gonna fucking sell it on, you know, eBay, it's gonna be whatever fan gets it.
Strike two?
It just has to touch the strike zone to count. I've seen balls touch the strike zone and they were still counted as balls.
We've got a runner on first.
Dude, I don't care what you say, the junior accountant sucks. He just sucks and I hate him. Listen, man, it's fine to be wrong. Okay? But when you're standing next to him, you know you feel the power. Alright?
Side retire.
Time to change.
All I'm saying is that when you're standing next to him, man, you know you feel the power.
Bigger swing. It's our favorite rookie.
A new face steps in his bed.
I mean, like, it's fucking in his theme song, dude. I don't know what to tell you. I don't know what else to tell you, man. Jorge Otunga. I mean, like, dude, literally, that's what I'm thinking.
Towing the rubber and ready to deal.
Let's see if this kid can actually ball, or if they're just...
You can hate him, man, but the stats don't lie. All right? The numbers don't lie, and they spell disaster for you at the big city stadium.
Newest ace. Towing the rubber and ready to deal.
I don't know what else to say, man.
For the newcomer. No pressure, kid. Just the entire neighborhood waiting to see if you're the real deal.
All right, hold on. Jorge Otunga. I would like to play his theme on stream again, but that got me in trouble on the last VOD. What are you doing? I'm sorry, no. If you're gonna shit on Jorge, you gotta shit on Reese as well. Because he needs to be on base. Why is he not on base, dude?
Our favorite baseball bot is up to bat.
Why the hell is Mr. Clanky over here picking up his slack? Frankly, I don't care if we're 12 up. If this series has taught us anything, it's that we can be 12 up and then lose it just as easy. You need to log in until we are done here. Oh, wow! That was good there. That was good there from friggin' Luan. Wow.
He's a wheelie going to knock it out of the park. Pete Wheeler has stepped up to bat.
Rumor has it that Pete once ran so fast
Dude,
that his shoes
when the humongous Hornets are in the clinch, there's no better team, I feel like. It's unfortunate that they can't start, you know... It's unfortunate they can't start on the right foot. But, like, when their back's against the wall, they become unstoppable.
Kid is gonna need a plane ticket to catch that one.
Sends it.
Now this is more
What the
like
hell?
A run has been scored, folks.
Dude, who the heck is laughing like that in the dugout?
Living legend, Pablo Sanchez.
Or is it Luan laughing like that? Hola, Pablo. Good to see you again. Thank you for gracing us with your presence. I mean, I was gonna say if you could... if you could clear the bases, I'd be pretty happy with that.
You can add one to the scoreboard.
Dude, we're curb stomping them here.
But Reese Worthington is
Even Reese Worthington is getting good hits here.
But he's not allergic to home runs.
I don't know, man. This season says otherwise. This man is... I think he has yet to hit a home run, does Reese.
All eyes are on the pitch. I got it.
Nice. Dude, we're doing good. Like, we're doing a good job finding holes in, you know, the defense here. Like, we're doing an incredible job just finding holes in the defense.
A home run will make me feel better.
Well, then get one, brother. I believe you. If anyone can do it, it's you.
Shot into the gap.
Well, you didn't do it, but you know what? That's fine. You took Pablo home. That's all I need from you.
1997.
That's all I need from you.
It's Jorge.
Hey. Hey, Dan, guess what? Crazy bunt. Courtesy of Jorge. And now watch this. Oh, shit.
Incredible play. The original pickleball.
Never mind. Man. I really shouldn't be gassing up my teammates when they can't deliver like this.
Strike one.
I really can't be gassing them up. You know, when I don't know if they can deliver.
Strike two.
Come on, man. Give me a good one.
Knocks one into right.
Not like we need more runs, but you know.
Three players on.
Who is laughing like that in the dugout?
It's K-Man the Speed Demon.
That cannot be Stephanie Morgan. I refuse to believe that's Stephanie Morgan, dude. It doesn't sound like her at all. Oh! Grand Slam!
Is there any sight more beautiful?
Grande Salame from Kenny by God Kawaguchi. Wow. Now, granted, that was with the assistance of a power-up, but that was sick as hell, though.
He was even allowed to play.
And finally, they get it out here. As a wise man once said, that's a lot of damage. That's a lot of fucking damage, chat.
One strike. Still some breathing room. The defense is set, and our newcomer is on the mound. Batters beware. 2 strikes now. Gotta be careful. It's headed.
No way. Okay. I thought she was gonna hit a natural home run there for a second. All natural home run.
We have Pete Wheeler stepping up to the plate.
I'm gonna hit a touchdown.
If anyone can do it, Pete, it's you. I believe.
One strike on the count.
Although making contact with the ball would also go a long way in doing that.
That's one power.
Okay, that's fine. 21-0, dude. 21-0, Undertaker style.
Stand up double. Kids got wheels. Better watch out. They aren't messing around. That's the kind of
A triple there from Pete Wheeler. 22-0, Undertaker style. That's awesome. That's awesome. As if we need more, but you know.
And that's a strike.
If you're wondering when I'll start throwing, he hit a hole-in-one on the bingo mat. You know what? I enjoy the idea that he's Ay caramba, Pablo. I'm sorry, bud. That was on me.
He may not be breathing easy.
Guys, that to say hello?
Calm at bat.
Do I look pale? I feel pale.
He got that fucking... He got that...
Blair, this one's raring to
He got that standing ace past the goalie. Did Pete Wheeler. I enjoy the idea that he just thinks that, like, this is just any other sport but baseball. I swear I have this on, like, the second highest difficulty, chat. We're just friggin' dominating right now. I don't know what else to say.
Thomas is up to bat.
This kid is an impressive force on the plate. Just make sure to sanitize the bat when he's done with it.
A solid pitch with personality. Slings it.
I'm so confident that Reese can even make it home.
Sends it. Side retire. That's
Well. Listen, man. That was 11 runs. I felt like I was fine to be a little bit cocky there.
Today, this batter is cleaning the bases.
Get ready to see some baseball.
Back towards the outfield. Wow!
Dude. What the? Dude, Jorge got it like 5 seconds ago. It's okay. Calm down. It's all right, buddy. Calm down. No way. Well, you know what? At least somebody scored on this game.
It won't be back anytime soon.
It must be dinner time because that kid is going straight home.
I did it! I can't believe I did it!
Good job, dude.
Jocinda Smith looked to earn her MVP nickname at bat.
Yeah, I won! I won! Well, enjoy that run, buddy. It's the only one that your team's gonna get. I just said that, and now we're gonna lose like 24-23, aren't we?
That swing must have been practiced for hours. I got it! I got it!
You do not got it, Mikey. It's fine. It's okay. Now don't blow that 23-point lead.
Ready to rock this stadium.
Now here's a kid.
Knowing our luck, I feel like we might.
In the mirror.
Snaps it down the line.
Oh shit. Oh shit. Oh shit. Oh shit. Oh shit. Okay. I wanted Jorge Garcia to be the one that takes this game home. Just just to spite Dan. It would have been fun. All right. Let's go.
Pitch down the line. I got it!
Go get it. Go get it. Go get it.
Sent to second.
Okay. You are not gonna... Dude, we are holding you at third. We are not gonna blow this. We are leading by 22 points. Do not blow this when we already have 2 outs. That's it. We're going to the finals. That's it. We're going to the finals. Done deal.
I don't know who needs to hear this, but that shortstop just became somebody's new favorite player. Might have been mine too.
Oh yeah? Then why did Pete Wheeler get MVP twice in a row?
The win, and their performance today was something to remember.
Now that's what you call
23-1, dude.
Maybe not. Depends on which side of the scoreboard you're looking at.
Or maybe not, dude.
Smell you later.
All right, what's next? We came back again. Next up in Big City Stadium. Pretty sure this is another 3-game set here. Hold on, let me see. Playoffs. Yeah, this is another 3-game set here. Let's send up packing, chat. And then I think we go to, like, the grand finals, right? I'm pretty sure after this is, like, the true final series.
It's break time. Where are the Cheetos, my dudes?
The first ad. Rumble Zone after this.
Amazing things can happen when you taste Reese's Puffs.
Wow. Chris, no more riding you back to school. You'll be driven by a chauffeur from now on.
Oh, and you can't go to the concert. Yes. So we're bringing it to you.
The perfect combination of chocolate and peanut butter flavor. Wow, it's Reese's Puffs, an extraordinary part of this good breakfast.
Now about to relax. Just like that, I'm on a roll. Reese's Puffs, Reese's Puffs.
Attention.
If you or a loved one was diagnosed with mesothelioma, you may be entitled to financial compensation. Mesothelioma is a rare cancer linked to asbestos exposure. Exposure to asbestos in the Navy, shipyards, mills, heating, construction, or the automotive industries may have put you at risk. Please don't wait. Call 1-800-99-LAW-USA for a free legal consultation and financial information packet. Mesothelioma patients call now. 1-800-99-LAW-USA.
The quality of our installation was top-notch. We'll recommend Empire to anybody.
Empire customers rave about our professional installation.
Hello, Mario.
And for the first time ever, it's free. That's right. Shop at home for quality name brand carpet at great prices. And for a limited time, get free installation. You'll save big. Plus no interest for a year. Free installation won't last long. Call today.
800-588-2300. Empire today.
Om nom nom. Oh, excuse me, we're back, my dudes.
Chat, the Cheetos are so ubiquitous now that my dog is right beside me, right? He's sniffing my bag of Cheetos Puffs, and he wants some. Do I give him some, chat? I think I gotta give him some. I think I gotta give Romeo some Cheeto. Hold on, bud. I got you. And just before anyone asks, yes, he can eat these. They're fine. No! Why not, Zach? Why doesn't he get one? I promise you they're safe for him. But why can't he get one? Shouldn't Romeo be able to indulge in the cheese as well? Homunculus, what do you think? Do you think that he should be able to indulge in the cheese? Oh, by the way, I'm back. Hello there, JD. Sorry, GDN. Thank you. Hi, how are you doing? He knows what he did. My God. Dude, he's begging. I really wish you could see him right now. Romeo is begging right now. I don't think he's going to go away until he gets one. Okay, no. Can dogs have Cheetos? Yes, they can, in fact, have them. I mean, they're really just corn, you know? No, sure. Here, to get him off my back. Brad gave one to him. By tomorrow, he will become a homunculus. But doing okay. Been busy, plus had to make a new Discord a couple weeks back after mine got... Wait, hold on. Hold on just a second, then. So, hold on. Is your current account compromised?
Those who do not indulge in the cheese do not truly live life to the fullest in this world. Please don't deny your canine the joy of cheesy treats.
I did not. I gave him one. He will get no more, though. He will get no more, chat. Because even though he can eat them, doesn't mean he should. Anyways. Chat. We made it to the finals of... What are we doing? The Super Entire Nation Tournament. It is the Crunchy Cookies taking on Humongous Hornets. You got some of those crazy Chat, I think that there's been a mix-up at the cookie factory. Because we made the cookies way too crunchy. And now we must get rid of them. I hope at least one person gets that.
Sunny day coming at you with my best chum, Vinny the Gooch.
Yo.
And an extra
Is it just me or do Homunculus's response seem delayed?
Radio? What?
I mean, they're not to me.
I don't know, Vinny. What year is it?
Good question.
While Vinny gets a grip on reality, let's take a look at what's laid out for us today.
Humongous.
Maybe it's my hotel's Wi-Fi.
Crunchy. Cookies.
It might be.
Play ball.
Talk about a clash of the titans.
Let's get this party started.
I almost want to check their stats after this game, chat. Hold on, can I tell if anyone's having a cold or hot day? Doesn't seem like I can. No, it doesn't seem like I can, really. Okay, well listen. We've already got this shit in the bag, I feel like.
The crowd is buzzing for the
I was about to say, it's probably just a stream delay.
Just the entire
Because, you know, naturally Twitch plays things back at least a few seconds later for viewers. That's just kind of how it is usually.
I know. Look out! Here comes the newcomer, ready to rock this stadium.
A new face steps in as batter. Let's see if the kid...
All eyes are on the pitch.
No one...
Nice! Jorge, good job, man.
Off the tennis court and onto the field, it's Ashley Weber.
This girl has a mean swing.
That's an insane color scheme, I'm not gonna lie. I mean, like, it works. But like, here I wasn't really expecting it, I'll be honest.
This one's coming in.
Mr. 3 Innings, get us out of here, dude.
Now these kids...
We want to batter your shirts on backwards? Dude, we're coming up with all sorts of rhymes out here on the freaking field.
Ready to deal.
Let's see if this kid can actually ball, or if they...
All eyes are on the pitch.
Jorge! Holding it down in the outfield. 2 diving catches from Jorge Garcia, and you say you don't want him on the team, dude. You say you don't want him on the team.
Looking a bit confused, we have Pete Wheeler stepping up to the plate.
Wheelie is the fastest member on the team.
She should be a bright blonde like in the old games. I mean, now she's a platinum blonde, just like our favorite girl, Anta Kameki. I mean, it's just typical, isn't it, Zach? The moment that we discover, like, Odd's fucking hair color, we're now seeing it everywhere. Or maybe it's always been there and we just haven't noticed it.
Slaps it through into left field.
Yeah, exactly, brother.
Runner on first.
But no, I'm a JD. Sorry, GD. Sorry. You did not answer my previous question. Is your current account compromised? Because if it is, then I have to remove it.
Might want to stand back for this one.
Line drive.
Everywhere I go, I see her face. That right there's Mona when he's not getting any tail, which is always. Yeah, that's right. I made him into a cuck in the original playthrough, and I am absolutely. And I am absolutely not guilty of that. At the time, it was the right thing to do. Okay? It was a good idea at the time. By the way, did you ever discover what made On so sad in Tomodachi Life? I mean, we didn't have to discover it. We saw it with our own eyes. You know? It's because It's because goddamn Nyla Rose chose Carl from Aqua Teen Hunger Force over her as her partner. And then when Carl asked, don't we make a good couple? I straight up told them no, and then they didn't pursue it further. Like literally, I stopped that ship where it stood, you know? I denied the goddamn Carla Rose shippers. And I took the Carla Rose shippers and killed them where they stood.
Here comes the neighborhood's newest ace, towing the rubber and ready to deal.
That is a bigger pinhead than friggin' Pete Wheeler. Wow.
The swing to match the swagger.
The old account, yeah. Sorry I didn't hear that question earlier because Twitch derped on my end. It's alright. It is absolutely alright, man. Alright, let's fucking do it.
Drove it down the right field line.
You need to lock in, brother. I think it's absolutely bizarre on would be no, it's not on that's interested in Carl. It's Nyla Rose that's interested in Carl. Damn, Carl always trying to get those tails. Dude, like I need to really preface this too. That when we were playing Tomodachi Life last night, An was ready to like confess her love. And then out of nowhere,
Ball hit the stratosphere.
Carl just showed up, right? I don't think that Nyla and Carl ever interacted before that time. You know?
Ready to rock this stadium.
I don't think they ever interacted before that time. And yet Carl's coming up here being like, no, I love Nyla Rose more. And then what happens? And then what does Nyla do? She ends up picking the guy that she's had no social interaction with up until that moment and says, I would love to go on a date with you, Carl. What? I'm sorry. That should have been an out, dude. That was on the base.
Here comes the neighborhood.
That was on the fucking base.
Now here's a kid who looks like they
That should have been an out.
home run trot in the mirror this morning.
I saw that.
Strike one.
Nice. Also, before I forget, I got a new PC yesterday. Nice. Would the real Nyla Rose even be interested in someone like Carl? Absolutely not. Absolutely not, because Carl in Aqua Teen is generally a racist and bigoted person. You know? Really, the idea of him being able to get with anybody on my island specifically is very laughable. Because, like, everybody on that island is super queer. You know?
Bases are loaded, and the crowd is at the edge of their seats. Look out! Here comes the
But no, Carl is probably the most insensitive person you could probably hope to meet. You know? There's a reason he gets no bitches. No, and when he does, it's always for money. What the f- No, dude. No! What? What? What's happening? Why are we just conga-line? Mikey. Mikey.
Taking the mound today, this batter is cleaning the bases.
Watch me go!
I take it his bigotry would never make him want Nyla Rose. No, and even if he could get past it, I don't think Nyla would let that shit slide. You know, like, I don't think that she would really, you know, be able to get past that. Because even when you take the bigotry out, he's just all other types of unpleasant, you know? No, I realize the out of play. But, like, dude, Mikey, you need to be there to catch the ball. You are the friggin'... Dude, you're essentially the goalie, okay? You are the catcher, so fucking catch it. You know? Also celebrated a birthday over a week ago and got some good wrestling shirts. 2 of which from AEW. If you want me to DM them to you later on. How about you post them in the Discord server, bud? I feel like we would love to see them.
Look at that stance. I'm sure Stephanie
Now that
is
you're
going to
back in the
knock this
server.
one out of the
Also, speaking of my server, Zach,
Baseball.
if you can you remove GDN's old account? It should be the one that's not titled GDN version 2.
Always a fan favorite, Kenny Kawakami.
Good for the real Nyla for standing ground.
Strong hitter.
At least I would hope that she would have enough self-respect to stand her ground on that. You know?
Whoa. Foul ball.
But it's just very funny, like, even taking the larger context of that, you know, out of the equation, it's just really funny that Nyla Rose chose Carl, a man she doesn't even know, over, like, a friend that she's known basically ever since she came to the island, you know?
We've got a runner on first.
Like, goddamn. Like, like if I was on, I'd be like, well, fuck, man, what do I do?
What else do you expect from Mr.
I'm losing to this guy? Come on.
Punches one into the gap.
Like, what the fuck am I, like, what the fuck do I do, man? I still remember being at that one AEW show where someone had a transfer of Nyla Rose sign. She flipped the guy off during her entrance, and later the guy got kicked out. That is so based. I mean, not the sign, but, you know, the guy getting told off and being told to fuck off after that. No, man, just go. Just go. We take those. We take those. It's fine.
Looking a bit confused, we have
Pete Wheeler, lock in, man. I need you to freaking hit this out of the park. I need you to hit this one out of the park, brother. Give it to me, baby.
That one's headed way back.
God
That'll
damn
end
it.
this inning. Was fun.
Yeah, it was hilarious when he got kicked out. When I found out later on, I kicked the hat GDN account. Thank you.
The tennis court and onto the field. It's Ashley Weber.
Is that my dad in the crowd?
Okay, well, alright, well, this game is a bit more competitive. I'm going to swap out Kenny for Mr. Clanky, because I just feel like that he needs to be the one to close this out.
Mr. Clanky is programmed for perfect pitching. With infinite
I feel like I remember seeing clips of that too, where like the transphobic fan got kicked out. That feels like something that would have made the rounds on either Twitter or Blue Sky when it happened. I need you to stay on base, Reese. I really need you to stay on base, dude. What are you doing?
Look out! Here comes the newcomer.
I really need you to stay on base, dude. Especially right now. We need to, like, just focus on getting these guys out. This was back in 2021. I could have sworn that was, like, you know, more recent. But, you know, I guess, like, Nyla hasn't really been on TV lately. So, you know, that makes more sense when I think about it through that lens. At the Thanksgiving Dynamite. Well, you know what? I give my thanks to AEW for kicking that guy out.
Get ready to see some baseball.
Because, yeah, that's bullshit.
One managed to slip through.
Speaking of Nyla Rose, hey TK, why don't you fucking put her back on TV and then maybe I'll watch your weekly stuff again? Because frankly, I've not watched, like, AEW lately, and a lot of that is due to the fact that, you know, my night shift makes it hard to keep up with weekly stuff right now. Like, I can't really remember the last time that I watched, like, you know, I don't know, like an episode of, you know, weekly TV for really any promotion. Closest to that is maybe the G1 Climax in Chicago. I wouldn't even count that. I would feel like that's just kind of more of a special event because, like, New Japan doesn't really do TV. Not anymore, anyways. Not to my knowledge. Maybe they do and I just don't remember. Okay. Goddamn... Dude, goddamn Mr. Clanky is just not fucking making it happen right now, man. He's not making it happen. He's not making it happen. We just gotta chase it to the wall, dude. We gotta chase it to the wall. Your boy was on the last 2 weeks. Wait, my boy? Oh, Hangman. Yeah. I saw that.
A tater to right field. You're so not invited to my birthday.
Yeah.
Runners on first.
For me, availability is not really an issue at all. The issue of it is just time and commitment to other things, you know? Because, like, I was working my shift the other night, and I was thinking to myself, man, I chose a very time-consuming niche, didn't I? I could have chosen really any other niche, but I had to choose one that... I had to choose one that demands much more, much more, out of me in terms of time commitment.
Send him scrambling.
That'll end this inning.
But I said before and I'll say it again, wrestling is the thing I love the most. So
Sanchez is here to show us how it's done.
So if I have to commit a bunch of time to something, I would rather it be that than most other things. I just need to actually sit down and watch it. But sitting down and watching stuff is hard because I don't have 2.5 hours to commit just on a, after I come home from work.
A nasty pitch with a lot of heat.
Especially when I'm, working on the Giraverse video still, which is still coming along, and I'm thinking about how I'm probably going to release, the individual portions of it as like TikTok shorts, so that everyone can see what I'm working on.
He may not be
Because I've been working on this now for like the better part of months at this point, and progress on it has been kind of slow, which hasn't really been, my preferred situation. But I guarantee you stuff is getting done. Grand Slam was almost 3 hours. Yeah, but I can, like, skip through the ad breaks at least. When I'm on HBO Max. I'm not going to sit here and say, oh, well, they need to be shorter. Right? But, like, what I am saying is that it's just hard. I'm learning it's hard to keep up with this medium that I love sometimes.
He's bonkers at batting. It's hard. Hit hard. Past the mound.
God damn it, Jorge.
No one has
Yeah, you walk off in shame, dude. That was shameful. That was a shameful fucking display, dude. No! We started on the back foot.
I have seen sunsets
God damn it. It can be hard to actually sit... Sorry, it can be hard to actually sit and just watch something. When you have 1,000,001 other things to do, and you don't have a high attention span for long-form content. See, like, that's the thing, too. Like, I'll have no problem watching, like, a fucking 30-minute long video on something that I just recently discovered I care about. When it comes to, like, a wrestling show, I'm just like, I don't got that time. I don't got the energy. It's just a really weird dichotomy, It's not looking good for our season here, chat. I'm gonna be perfectly honest with you. I'm thinking we're about to get choked out here in terms of like our just our playoff prospects. But who knows? Maybe we'll be fine. I missed the promo Kenny Will had a few weeks ago because of a 30-minute overtime. Man. Sev, you're just proving me right about that stupid junior accountant. Listen, man. I feel like Jorge is a glass cannon. Okay?
Let's get down to some good old
either really good or really bad. He's feast or famine. I don't know what else to say to you.
Two rivals, but only one.
I really don't know, how else I can say it.
Because it's time to play ball. Here comes the new.
But either way, like, we need to lock in for this game in particular. Otherwise, we're not gonna be able to fucking
Here to show you the
make it to the end.
fishing power.
Every one of these series has, like, come down to 3 games, I feel like. Or rather, like, if we continue on this path, this fucking game's gonna come down to 3 as well.
First base is occupied. Tennis may be her favorite, but she is a baseball
I mean, again, like, I don't mind, like, an overrun. I just need to, like, plan for it because, like, listen, man, I can't be complaining about an overrun when, like, even, you know, when even, like, a 2-hour show is just a little bit much for me now. You know? And that's why I really wish AEW would stop doing that thing where, like, whenever they upload highlights onto their channel, it's, like, 2-minute truncated versions of it. You know? Like, give me the full fucking segment. Like, please just give me the full goddamn segment.
Here comes the neighborhood's newest ace, towing the rubber and
What good is a glass cannon if it can easily break? Have you ever heard of duct tape?
a solid pitch with personality.
Because I have. It can fix anything. This man is being held together by duct tape, and duct tape's strong. Okay? It's never let me down, it's never let you down. And it won't let us down here. Struck him out.
Next.
Yeah, Mr. Clanky needs to be fucking cerebral on the mound here. He needs to be fucking cerebral here. Get in the chase. Get in the chase. Get in the chase. Screwball.
That pitcher's been lifting weights.
No, 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 dude. We're so slow out here. We are the slowest. We're the slowest, man. Ah, dang it. God, we start with a grand slam, dude.
Put a stamp on it and mail it to Peru.
Dude, I don't even want to see the celebration. This is fucking dire now. Also, did the game just bug? Chat, I can't pitch. I can't pitch, chat. I can't fucking pitch. No! I can't pitch right now, chat. Well, that's fun. That is very, very fun. I feel like we're gonna have to forfeit this.
If it weren't for the fact I had a corn dog, I'd call
No.
this game a total loss.
No, do not tell me that we lose on that. Don't you dare tell me, okay, good. Good. Because if we lost on that, I would have been turning on this game big style. I'm not even gonna lie to you. I would have been turning on this game big style if that happened. Why would I want duct tape when I have the option of something stronger like flex tape? Well, listen. Use whatever, like, adhesive substance you want. That's what we're doing to repair him, okay? No, I do not want to continue that, dude. I know we're cheesing this a little bit. But I do not want to continue from a bugged game. Okay?
Stepping up to the plate with
I'm not continuing from a bugged save.
it's our favorite rookie.
The crowd is buzzing for the newcomer.
Mr. Clanky is programmed for perfect pitching.
With infinite stamina,
We've got a runner
What? Reese, stay at first base.
off the tennis
Please.
court and onto the field. It's Ashley Weber.
This girl has a mean swing.
Stay at first base, dude. We can hand it. And just wait for the fucking cutoff, okay? Wait for the cutoff, man. Wait for the freaking cutoff, man, dude. That's all you need to do.
Stepping up to the plate with big dreams and a bigger swing. It's our favorite rookie.
Now here's a kid who's unbeatable.
Nice. Ah! 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 Cannon!
They couldn't catch her if they tried.
Okay, well then why do the CPUs have phantom reach when like I need to wait for the ball to come to the fielder?
Rounder through the gap. You sure you picked the right sport?
Nice.
Maybe try chess.
Hypothetical question, would you ever consider anything
Ready to rock the stadium.
tokusatsu related for
Ball,
post-show content?
Standing there. Personally, I like the sneak.
Hold on.
What a
Hold that thought. God dang it. We're gonna have to give that up, dude. Listen, I can handle a single run. I can handle a single run getting by us. Let's try not to do more of it, though.
and a miss.
Steve Reich won.
Let's try to not allow anything else.
What a rip.
No.
Throws it over. Look out.
I mean, I mostly want to keep it to wrestling stuff, you know?
And that's
I mostly want to keep, you know, post-show content to wrestling stuff. Speaking of, we are going to be watching Ring of Honor on HDNet after we're done here, chat. But I would like to, you know, finish out our season.
hit the ball.
That's all, folks. Better luck next time, kid.
And the humongous Hornet's version to one Super Hornet. Super humongous Hornet.
Fast that his shoes fell off.
Hold on. Oh, hold on. I mean, maybe. Maybe I would do, like, some kind of Super Sentai thing. But that stuff feels pretty risky, you know? I don't know, that shit feels pretty risky, just generally speaking. So maybe, but it would need to be, like, you know, something I think about. Okay,
And he
cool.
could never find them again.
Pete Wheeler!
That was one.
Again, here with a fucking statement is Pete Wheeler. You did real good, brother. Good job.
It's the pint-sized powerhouse, Pablo Sanchez.
And just like that, we're on the board.
Always looks like he's ready to belt one out of the park.
Drilled it into left.
Nice.
Chucks it over.
Risky because a Toei might file a copyright claim. Especially Toei, brother. Those guys are fucking cerebral with it, you know?
What a hit.
I sure hope the umpire can find his glasses.
Dang it. Man. Sorry, Pablo.
Thomas is up to bat.
This kid.
Yes, risky because Toei might file something.
Sanitize the bat when he's done with it. That ball was hit.
The copyright issues are not just exclusive to YouTube.
Runners on first and second.
I've had VODs, like entire VODs muted because of something that I showed, you know?
Jorge would be
So like, it's like I need to be careful with it.
Whizzes down towards center.
No way. No way.
To the pitcher.
No, dang it, dude. Flew too close to the sun.
Stance. I'm sure Stephanie is going to pop this one out of the park.
Few kids know baseball.
Like if you're dealing with Toei, Toho, or really any Japanese company that starts with T,
Baseball.
they will not hesitate to fuck you the hell up, dude. They are very protective of that. Oh! Let's go. Let's go. Let's go. Let's go. Let's go.
Just like I planned it.
What an incredible hit there from Stephanie Morgan. Yeah, you emote on him. Emote on him, sister. Yeah, let's go.
If this kid makes good contact with the ball, it's the last you'll ever see of it.
Dude, that was the one to hit. That was the fucking one to hit. But I wasn't paying attention, dude. I wasn't paying attention to the ball there. Nah, but you fed it right to the fielder, Kenny. Not a post-show thing that rather not a post-show seg, but remember that clip I showed you of live-action 1950s Applejack and Rarity? There's a funny TikTok animatic I shared on the Media Share Discord. That might interest you.
Stepping up to the plate.
I did see that.
A bigger swing. It's our favorite rookie.
A new face steps in as batter. Let's see if the...
Boom! That one smoked!
Yeah, smoked. Yeah, smoked right to the infield, brother. Good shit. Good shit, pal.
Rounder through the gap. Nice play.
Good job.
One less runner on the base. Look out. Here comes
We got this, dude.
ready to rock this stadium.
The crowd is buzzing for the newcomer. No pressure, kid. Just the...
All eyes are on the pitch.
I mean, listen, man, it's been a whole season. I don't know why we're talking about their potential still. The fact they made it this far kind of shows you the potential that they have, right?
Ooh, that's just embarrassing.
That's one powerful strike.
Just in time, dude. Caught him lacking. Caught him lacking just in time.
Our favorite baseball bot is up to
No, but chat, it's just a little hard to
I didn't know he was
kind of keep up with, you know, wrestling when I'm trying to, like, do all these other things. It's not that I don't love wrestling. I mean, I do. Otherwise, why would I be, you know, streaming stuff about it, right? But,
Don't underestimate her.
sorry, but, like, the time just isn't there sometimes. Especially when I'm working on, you know, all these things. Especially, like, when I'm working on the goddamn, you know, Giraverse video. Which is, you know, which, like I said, is still coming along. But it's just slow going. You know?
Looking a bit confused, we have Pete Wheeler stepping up to the plate.
Wait, whose team am
I know this is just a me problem, but I don't like long AEW overruns because it means I have less time for... sorry, for my, like, other hobbies. Such as...
Two strikes. Pressure's on.
Oh, man, you fucking want that, okay? You want it and I want it.
Into the gap it goes.
Video games?
Rifles it.
Can you not do that in the background?
In a hard place here.
Sends it.
No, I get it. You want to be engaged with it. I understand.
The living legend, Pablo Sanchez, is here to show us how it's done. Vamos a ganar.
That's why skipping through commercials is good, brother.
Strike one.
That's why I don't really watch it live anymore. I just fucking... Like, if I do watch it, and it's not a pay-per-view, then I just, you know... I'll watch on HBO Max. Ah, dang. Okay, yeah, that was... Yeah, that was a complete misread from me.
My time to shine.
Here. I want to make sure that we don't fumble this. Luann, I need you up there. Shut them down and take us to a third game. Nice. I'm thinking maybe, like, the reason why our fielding is so spotty is because I'm clicking everywhere too much, right?
Have you ever seen
Like, part of me wants to see what happens when I just let the CPU do its thing.
It's our favorite rookie.
Now here's a kid who looks like they practiced their home.
Hit hard. Goes for the diving catch. Slings it. And that's a double.
I'm gonna have to change my DVR from past 15 minutes to past 30 minutes for AEW. Oh man, you still DVR it?
This kid can actually ball.
No,
I'm
kidding. It's
Personally,
fine.
I like the sneakers.
Right back to the pitcher. They've shut them
Dude,
down this inning.
again, again, when our back is against the wall, we're just out here, you know? We're fucking out here doing it. Also, we did not go on to the finals yet, dude. I don't know why the game is telling us that. But, no, we have one more game we need to do, I think.
Or maybe not.
And then we move on.
Which side of the scoreboard you're looking at?
We have one more game we need to do, and then we move on to it. Also, I'm looking at your shirts in the chat, dude. I'm looking at your shirts in chat, GDN. These are good. I really like the Coping Cage shirt. I didn't read Christian Cage's skull as like, the looking out into the crowd thing. I read it as like Christian having a headache at first. Like, chat, look at this and tell me that this doesn't look like the Christian Cage skeleton has like a splitting headache if you don't squint, at first glance. Like, to me, the hand on his forehead, to me, it doesn't quite look like, the little like look out to the crowd he does. It looks like that he's nursing a big headache, Just me? I don't know. I mean, like, listen, I'd imagine that, Christian's whole existence right now in kayfabe is a big headache. But, listen, that should be besides the point. That should be completely besides the point, dude. Alright. Anyways. It's tough being the father of the year, chat. Every year, all day, every day. All right, we've come down once again to the wire. We've come down once again to the wire here in a high stakes series. Let's fucking take it home, dude.
She and her Teddy make one dynamic duo. She's sure to take out anyone who even thinks about stealing a base.
She says that Teddy gives her advice on how to pitch. And with how she performs, I almost believe her.
Dude, the Teddy is like the brains of the operation here, it feels like. Nice. Got on the chase. I'm not interested in getting HBO Max. I mean, that's totally fair because HBO Max is largely dog doo-doo. But I will say that as long as AEW and Aqua Teen stay on there, that service pays for itself for me.
It's our favorite rookie.
A new face steps in as batter. Let's see if the kid's got the swing to match the swag.
This one's coming in with some heat. Scoops it up.
Nice. Good job. Shut them down. We're shutting them down, dude.
The neighborhood's newest ace, towing the rubber and ready to deal.
The crowd is buzzing for the newcomer. No pressure.
All eyes are on the pitch.
Nice.
Strike one.
That was a wild one, dude.
Solid hit.
Go. Throw it.
That's all, folks.
Good.
You hate
wait to see it, folks.
Who's you? I think, dude, I think you're projecting. I think Vinny's projecting, chat. Because I, for one, love to see that. I, for one, love to see the opposition get completely shut out in the first inning. Alright? That's what I love, more than anything else. My family has not cut the cord, so I might as well use it. I mean, that's totally fair. Especially if you're not paying for it.
Wheelie is the fastest member on the team, as long as he's headed in the right direction. Yikes.
But no, like, for me, like, just keeping up with wrestling in general is hard. This isn't like just a, a criticism, on one company. It's just a little bit difficult for me at this stage in my life, Nonetheless, I still watch AEW's pay-per-views. And I keep up with what's happening through, like, social media and stuff. I guess this is why I'm just not really that much of a stickler for spoilers. Because I'm a person that has accepted that, with the kind of lifestyle that I have, spoilers are inevitable.
We've got a runner on first and second.
I mean, spoilers are just part of the gig, Oh my god, that should have been an out. But Pete Wheeler snuck it in, dude. Pete Wheeler fucking snuck it in. That's our goat. I don't like to give anything to the WWE, but they are on top of uploading segments and matches on the YouTube channel. I mean, listen, man, listen, I fucking kind of believe you there. Because, like, they'll sometimes come up on my feed. And I'll see that, most of the stuff they upload is full segments. And I wish AEW would do that. Because, like, listen, I feel like that the reason... Like, I don't really know why they friggin' upload, their segments in, like, 2-minute formats like that. Because I feel like they are just not getting... I feel like you're not getting the full scope of a segment when it's served, when it's served to you in a 2-minute version, Especially when it's like a promo seg, right?
That'll end this inning.
Players are changing sides.
Like, I feel like, especially if it's a promo, you're just not getting the full scope of it when it's only, a 2-minute truncated version of it. Like, I've heard, like, almost every criticism about the promotion Under the Sun, and not one person says, hey, what's the deal with them, uploading their segments like that?
Tenacious. I love it.
Not one single person says, hey, maybe they shouldn't do it like that.
Here's a kid who looks like they practiced their home run trot.
Think about the night shifter, brother. Think about the night shifter that has like projects that he's working on.
That's an out. Stepping up to the plate with big dreams and a...
To be fair, also right now I'm playing through GTA 5, and I'm getting through that right now. Not in preparation for 6 because I don't plan on getting 6, at least not for a long time. But I'm just kind of looking at the state of gaming right now, and I'm just like, yeah, that's not really something that I want to be here for. And like, I found something on Blue Sky recently that was like every single conversation that I see surrounding GTA 6 is whether or not this game does well is going to have a tectonic shift on the game industry. Right? And like, no matter what, it's going to be a bad one. It just makes following the game and just really most stuff that happens in gaming just not really fun sometimes. It's like I'm almost preparing
Kenny is a strong hitter. This young
for things to go tits up after, GTA 6 comes out by playing you know, by playing through my backlog, right?
Line drive.
Trying to remember a time when, like, you know, like, I mean, I know that, you know, a GTA 5 kind of came out, you know, when, like, rot was already really seeping in.
It's Mr. Clanky.
But I was trying to, like, focus on, like, stuff that I have right now, because stuff that is coming just does not seem very appealing to me. Like, I remember watching the Summer Games Fest, you know, deal, and most of the time I was just sitting here like, man, am I just not fucking with this medium anymore? Because part of me just feels like I'm not fucking with it anymore.
It's Ashley Weber.
This girl has a mean swing. She's been studying Serena.
At least not unless it's under, like, specific, like, circumstances and conditions, you know? It would be funny if the Ocarina of Time remake came out at the same time as GTA 6. It would be, wouldn't it? Probably won't, though. How far away is GTA 6 at this point? Because part of me wants them to, like, delay it again, because I just think it'd be funny.
Neighborhood's newest ace, towing the rubber and ready to deal.
Now here's a kid who
Excuse me.
looks like they practiced.
Wow, my acid reflux came back.
Low roller. Up with it. They've shut them down this
Jeez, I was about to say.
Next time.
At the worst time, too. Man, that was... that was tough. Okay. Alright, now we're going to the big champion of the universe thing.
The playoffs, and they've definitely earned it.
That's the kind of win that'll keep you up at night.
They came, they saw, they absolutely crushed it.
If baseball were easy,
What did Pablo do to deserve MVP there?
That was a thrilling finish. With
You can now play at Big City Stadium.
but the
Fuck
victory
yeah.
belongs to Humongous Hornets today.
it's not about winning or losing. As long as you had fun. I hope the losers had a blast. Drop in the mic. See you next time.
Check the news, brother. Check the news, because the Humongous Hornets are in their bag. How about stats? What all did... Hold on, what all did Pablo do here to do it? Oh, he ran in the RBI that scored us the win. Okay. Alright. Humongous Hornets make history with undefeated championship run. This trophy belongs to the whole neighborhood, except my cousin. He picked the other team. Pete Wheeler, Humongous Hornets co-captain. Yeah, he probably said that he was, like, on the other football team. Or something like that. I almost felt bad for the pitcher. Almost. Stephanie Morgan. What is next for Coach Staff? Well, it's continue to the Grand Ultra Championship of the Universe. He was on the cricket team. An 8-team single elimination tournament culminating in a best-of-5 championship series. Win this tournament to be crowned the ultimate champion of the universe. Show me a VTuber that played the new MLB The Show game, which I haven't seen other VTubers done. Was it Scarlett? Because I see, like, a lot of shorts of Scarlett on TikTok. She does a lot of baseball stuff, so... Lumpy Gravy, ugh. That shit looks like... Dude, that shit looks like the Sonic curry. That shit there looks like the Sonic curry. Who freaking doused my baseball in Sonic curry? Hello there, Fluffy. How you doing? Also, chat is frozen. Okay, hold on. Yeah, like I've seen Scarlet, you know, around on TikTok and stuff. All right, chat. Let's see what our, sorry, before we go to break, let's check out the playoff lineup. The Stinky Pansies? Okay, so we had the Humongous Hornets, Lumpy Gravies, Inky Squids, Woolly Mammoths, Nutty Bananas, Atomic Oysters, Stinky Pansies, and Lucky Duckies. You know, a lot of these have, you know, a lot of these are just very satisfying teams to say, man. These are just very satisfying teams to say right here. Especially the Woolly Mammoths. Like, that cannot have been, like, generated. That has to have been something that they just had, like, in the back pocket. And for some reason, again, the Lumpy Gravies are, like, blue? Which I don't know about, man. That seems a little suspect. I would not eat that at all. Did you know the voice actress Ashley Nichols streams on Twitch? Who is Ashley Nichols and what do I know her from? Rather, what should I know her from? She voices Zooble in The Amazing Digital Circus. Okay. I'm giving the big fucking thumbs up back here, dude. Affirmative. I got you. I'm picking up what you're putting down. I'm scratching what you're sniffing. Now sniff these ads, chat, and then we'll get started.
It's break time. Where are the Cheetos, my dudes?
Get the Family Guy theme song as your new ringtone. All you have to do is text Peter1 to 75555. Or you want Peter laughing? Send Peter2. Text Peter3 for
giggity, giggity, giggity.
Peter4 for
unfreaking believable.
Peter5 for
there's an evil monkey in my closet.
And for bird is the word, Peter6 to 75555. Or go to Jamster.com, subscribe to get up to 20 products like games for $9.99 a month. Remember, it's Jamster.com.
I'm working for an hourly wage. I went to high school, didn't do great. Still, I gotta make more cash. More education is what I'm looking at. When I get a degree, I will make a bigger salary. So now I've got to see which college is right for me. I went on the internet and found Education Connection. I took some free tests to find out my direction. I'm taking my classes online, getting my degree on my own time. Education Connection matched me with the right college for free. Get connected for free. With Education Connection. Get connected for free. With Education Connection.
Are you being audited and do you owe the IRS $10,000 or more in back taxes? Is the IRS threatening to take more of your money? Don't fight the IRS alone. The Tax Doctor is here to help you negotiate your tax bill and reduce your stress. The IRS can freeze your assets and seize your bank accounts, but you can stop these IRS actions. The Tax Doctor will work with you using our year.
The Tax Doctor was taken out back, chat. He didn't make it. The Tax Doctor didn't make it. I don't know. I've like messed with this like several times, and I'm just thinking that you know, maybe I just don't know my math, I guess, because you know, the way that this is set up, I need to like get it down to the millisecond. That's here. Give me a second here, and I'll go ahead and check it.
Om nom nom. Oh, excuse me, we're back, my dudes.
Get the Family Guy theme song as your new ringtone.
Call it back taxes. Do not clear to deal with the IRS to reduce your stress.
Oh, let me find commercial comp over here. Hold on. Okay, I figured it out.
Mario.
I got it. I don't know who just showed up. Give me a second. Hello, everybody. My name is Markiplier, and welcome back to another episode of Five Nights at Backyard Baseball. That's literally been this whole thing, Soul. Hold on. Hold on. I got... You know what? I'm gonna shut this game up for a sec, and I'm gonna show you guys the tax doctor. Through some incredible witchcraft, the tax doctor lives again.
You can stop these IRS actions. The tax doctor will work with you using our years of experience to represent your case to help you get the best resolution under the IRS guidelines. Help is here to deal with the IRS to reduce your stress. We've handled thousands of cases, so we know what we're doing. If you owe $10,000 or more in back taxes, do not call the IRS alone. Call a tax doctor now for a tax emergency analysis.
Oh god, I owe several $million in taxes. I mean, dude, you fucking know who to call then. You fucking know who you gotta call then, right? Interestingly enough, the Mammoths are a real sports team, but not in baseball. They're actually a local NHL team. I wish the Atomic Oysters were real. I love Five Nights at Freddy's. I wish it was real. But no, Dan. Hopefully you're still here, because you saying that kind of gave me an idea. But it requires you to answer a question for me, okay? Do you think Glitch would be... Do you think Glitch is against people watching their stuff on streams? Because, like, I'm not really against the idea... Because I know I said, you know, earlier that... For post shows, I mostly want to stick to wrestling, but I can be persuaded. You know? I can be persuaded. What I'm saying is that if we want to, like, do something like with the Amazing Digital Circus on stream, then that's something that maybe we can do in the future. We have a local minor league baseball team named after Teddy Roosevelt's Rough Riders. What division are they? Or like what like level are they in the hierarchy, and what are they like a subdivision of? Like which team? Because Fort Wayne has the Tin Caps, and the Tin Caps are the high A team for the Padres.
Here, ready for some baseball with my trusted sidekick.
Oh my god. It took us quite a bit to actually get those fucking sponsorships in here, huh? Double A for the Rangers. Oh wait, I'm missing. Hold on.
This time we've got humongous Hornets going head to head against lumpy gravies. Only the toughest teams remain, and they're giving it everything they've got.
Hello, Mario.
Hello, Devin. How you doing? Welcome on into tonight's Lone Boy Club meeting. Let's see who's hot and who's cold here. Because so far, this seems like that we're good. I swear I can still hear Stev to this day. It's almost like he's right here with us, getting 6 strikeouts with Kenny by God Kawaguchi. And why is it like the Sonic Curry, dude?
Look out! Here comes the newcomer, ready to rock
So this is single elimination, chat.
For the newcomer. No pressure, kid. Just the entire neighborhood waiting to see if you're the real deal.
Yeah, this right here, it is single elimination. If we lose this game, we're out.
And that's a strike.
And then that's the end of the season.
Batter beware. This one's raring.
And then after that point, I'm not sure, honestly.
That's a slow roller.
They snatched it.
Runner on first.
Why is that what? Oh, why is that kid a weird Funko Pop? You know, they all kind of look like Funko Pops in this coloration. This here's the sloppy gravy curse or whatever the heck they're called.
One managed to slip through. Let's see if you can handle this.
That little blooper sent him running.
Bob? My name's Billy. It doesn't matter what your name is.
Stepping up to the plate with big dreams. Keep your eye on the
All right, here we go.
Where'd the ball go?
Scooped up.
Step on up and see if you can
Nice,
throw a
nice,
giant
nice, nice,
gold
nice.
ring around a long boy's neck, ladies and gentlemen.
Bet you
Step
can't
on
do
up.
it.
Come on, come on, come on. Let's go, let's go, let's go. Hurry. Oh.
Nah, I knew it.
Oh, you missed. Or maybe you didn't. You owe me $10 either way.
Or if they're just good standing there. Personally, I like the sneakers.
Personally, chat, I don't think Gatorade hydrates better than water.
On those taters.
Like, that's impossible.
They've shut them down this inning. Better luck next
One day we'll see that 2%. It's happened, dude. I can tell you from experience, it's happened. Okay?
Rumor has it that Pete once ran so fast that his shoes fell off, and he could never find them again.
It's headed straight back to the outfield.
Chucks it over.
Nice.
A runner on second.
That's a good freaking double, Petey.
It's the pint-sized powerhouse, Pablo Sanchez, walking.
It can, but the way you have to sweat before it makes a difference is so massive.
Strike one.
Wait, hold on. What are you referring to?
Slips through the gap.
Oh, wait, you're probably referring to the goddamn ring thing.
And just like
Come on, Stev.
they're on the board.
Keep your gimmick straight.
He may not be breathing easy, but Reese Worthington is calm at bat.
Good gimmick.
Worthington up to bat. Fielders might want to stand back for this one.
Good gimmick.
Line toward right.
Aw, shit, dude.
Experience heartbreak one day or another.
Man, you need to... Oh, Gatorade, great. Okay, you need to actively need electrolytes, but like, if you eat food, you typically will have those when it comes to Gatorade.
A swing and a miss.
I don't know, I mean, like, I know what's in Gatorade, dude. That shit is full of sugar. I've seen it.
Pitch down the line.
I saw it.
He slides.
Runner on first.
I've seen Gatorade, dude. I saw it.
If money could
Watch.
buy home runs,
Oh, way, yo. Oh, way, yo.
Those wheels.
What the fuck is that, dude?
Get him in the next inning.
They can just catch it from thin air like that?
It's the ever-energetic Gretchen Hasselhoff's.
Why do I need to, like... Okay. Why do I need to, like, have the ball actually come to me? And, like, when they're stealing a base, why do I need to have the ball come to me? But when I'm stealing a base, they can just grab it from, like, 5 feet across the field. That makes no sense.
some chitter-chatter. She loves to talk.
Listen, we could shut them down in this inning, too. That would be good.
That's a strike.
Harder difficulty, I guess. That's the only explanation, dude.
Strike 2.
Alright, we're gonna try and psych her out here. Struck out.
Oh no, that almost never happens, except for the time when it happens. And sometimes it does happen, especially when it happens.
Here comes the neighborhood's newest ace, towing the rubber.
I posted the rest of the match bumpers I drew. I saw that.
No pressure, kid. Just the entire neighborhood waiting to see if you're the real deal.
Oh no, kid. I don't know. I mean, like, I don't really know if these kids really need all that Gatorade, you know?
Kids are chomping at the bit to prove themselves.
Here comes
At least not for this game. I don't think we're working up too much of a sweat out here, right? Especially if Kenny can, like, just shut these guys out like this.
Time to change.
Better Gatorade than espresso. Better just water than anything else, dude.
I'm sure Stephanie is going to pop this one out of the park.
Like, Gatorade's full of, Gatorade's full of added sugar. These freaking kids don't need that. Especially Kimmy Ekman. The reason why Kimmy Ekman can break the game is because she's drinking too much Gatorade on top of all the on top of all the sugary bullshit that she's eating.
We've got a runner on first.
That's the reason she can break the game so easy.
The speed demon up to bat.
If this kid makes good contact with the ball, it's the last you'll ever see of it.
Where'd the ball go?
Just
Right to the left, brother. Back into the left, just like JFK did.
a solid pitch with personality.
You can make it. Incredible. Better Gatorade than Prime. Is Prime even still a thing? Because I don't see it anywhere now.
Up to bat. I didn't know he was even allowed to play. And that's
I remember, like, a couple years ago, I made a deal out of, like, trying Prime on stream. And it was the most mid-ass thing I've ever tasted. Not even the Fed is promoting it. Did they take it off the ring canvas? I didn't even notice that.
Into the gap.
If so, I didn't notice.
Throws it over. Home safe. Hit your Mark the board.
Prime is still a thing that still gets new flavors, but it's not as popular as it used to be. Prime is a glorified Gatorade ripoff anyways. I mean, like, all of these, like, sports drinks are just kind of different versions of the same idea. You know?
Bases are loaded, and the crowd is at the edge of looking a bit confused. We have Pete Wheeler stepping up to the plate.
But in terms of, like... But in terms of, like, you know, the totem pole, if we're ranking them, I would say Prime, just in terms of its image and, like, all the shit that it was involved in when it was relevant, it's really is probably towards the bottom, you know?
One strike on the count.
Its biggest presence right now is probably Ludgley, which, like, dude...
That swing must have been
That shit... Dude, you want to talk about something that's never going to go anywhere ever? That's it.
Incredible.
You know?
Run was just scored.
Especially, like, when they first came out.
is here to show us how it's done.
And buyers, like, found mold on cheese and stuff. Like, at that point, it's game over. You know? Things like Lunchables, they live and die on the trust of moms everywhere. And if you lose that trust, that's it. It's game over. You know?
Another one.
You will never be getting that trust back. Gretchen is never gonna buy, you know, little Tommy a Lunchly ever again if she finds mold on that cheese, dude. It's never happening.
Let's go with that.
It's more expensive Lunchable. A more expensive Lunchable is, like, not the play. Wait, hold on.
Lines one. Don't mess up.
Nice job, Reese!
Bless you. Mikey Thomas is up to bat. Uh-oh.
Reese is getting on base, dude.
Drilled it into left field. Sends it.
I haven't seen any
Like, listen, man. If you piss off Deborah by by putting mold on your cheese, or like allowing your cheese to have mold on it.
Watch that outfield cringe as I step up to the plate.
Chad, what did he say? I'm sorry, Chad. Did you hear him say something? Watch this.
3, 2, 1.
He's my goat and yours. Jorge Garcia. Dude, Jorge's about to clear these bases. Jorge's about to clear these fucking bases. Watch.
Picks it up.
That's fucking textbook, dude. Dude, I feel like that calls for it. I feel like that calls for it. I'm muting this section of the VOD. Cope and seethe, Dan. Argue with the wall. My goat's not washed. The music, LMFAO. When you're standing next to him, yeah, you know you feel the power. As much shit as I will give Prime, it came in clutch when I cut my leg open a few years back. So that wasn't just a crazy butt, that was a mentally deranged butt. A more expensive Lunchable is like not the play. If I want one, I know Walmart has a less expensive one that I go to. Like, what you're doing with those food items anyway is you're paying for the influencer brand. That's really why they're so expensive. You know? But I'm going to tell you right now, if you want actual good chocolate, Feasible is fine. But if you want actual good chocolate, you need to get Milka. Chat, you need to get Milka chocolate bars. That shit comes straight from Germany, and it's the best chocolate that I've ever had in my life. You can find them at a Cracker Barrel, you can find some of them at Walmart, you can find them basically anywhere. It is the creamiest and richest chocolate you can find. I'm not... I may as well be doing a sponsor for them. But, listen, I'm Milka's strongest soldier, okay? I'm there for the Oreo fucking insides of Milka chocolate, okay? I've also had Lunchly before. It does in fact taste better and is more filling Lunchables, but the expensive then puts me off buying them again.
Pop my bubble.
Import Milka bars go insane, right? Oh my god, yes!
Slings it. First base.
I went to Germany a couple of years ago. And Milka chocolate was probably one of the best parts of that whole trip.
It's my time to shine.
That shit was genuinely life-changing.
What a rip. Wings it. He slides.
Runners on first
Oh,
and second.
oh no, oh no, oh no, Stephanie's gassed.
Baseball bot is up to bat.
Dude, we can rarely get a competitive game in this, I feel like. It's either we're, like, completely pounding them, or they're pounding us. You know?
Little Luann Louie loops up to bat. Yeah, we're ready to go.
Your eyes were open. I finally figured out what good chocolate tasted like, chat.
Yikes.
And it tastes like...
That's a ball.
And it tastes like Milka with Oreos in it.
A nasty pitch with a lot of...
No way! Is that natural? No! I wanted that to be a home run. That would have been so sick. Dude, that would have been sweet as hell.
Home free. Chuck one up. It's not a good look for him.
That would have been sweet as hell if Luann got a natural home run
Confused. We have Pete Wheeler stepping
in the home stretch of the season.
Wait, I forgot my glove.
I'll figure it out, brother.
That ball's got a chance.
Uh-oh. Nope. Nope, stay right there, brother. Is this a full 9 innings? No, this is 3 innings.
Pablo
I put the games down to 3 innings because I figured stuff like this would happen. And also, I just feel like it helps with the pace of the game. What, dude, what is this infield? Do you see the infield here, chat? I'm gonna let this go. But, like, look at this. Dude, what is with all the triplets here in this city now?
Like a beetle on Christmas morning. It's time to swap sides.
I really need to go back to my import store called Piratos.
Look out! Here comes the newcomer, ready to rock this stadium.
Now he is.
There was another one. I know. Dude, this whole fucking town is just full of triplets now.
Gets under it.
Now these kids have what it takes to win.
Every other team has their own version of the Dudleys, I feel like.
Throwing the rubber and ready to deal.
A new face steps in as batter.
Ground ball up the first baseline. Got him. That's an out. You can do
Every single one of these fucking teams, or at least every other one of them, they have a situation where Father Dudley messed around a lot. Wait, was it Father Dudley or Mother Dudley?
Those kids
All I know is that one of the two messed around with a lot of partners, and that's why they all look like that. And that's why they all ended up looking like that.
I'm gonna get you back. Drives it to right.
No, please! Mr. Clanky, you need to... You gotta keep that wheel straight, bud.
This cannon is loaded.
What do I care? I mean, what do I care? We already have this game won, right? I say that and then watch what happens.
Up with it. That'll end
There you go.
That's the inning, folks.
10-0.
That's the game. Short, sweet, and spectacular.
Pablo Sanchez. Wait, what all did Pablo do?
But you
If anything, I feel like Jorge should be the one that's, that got the MVP.
But humongous Hornets came away with the victory.
Alright, well, what did he do?
Chills from that performance. Baseball never looked so good.
I'm Sunny Day, and
I'm sorry, but Jorge Garcia should have gotten... But Jorge Garcia should have gotten that friggin' like MVP there. Because look at his contributions. 3 RBIs and a single at bat. That's insane, dude. All right. Yeah. You know what? You're right, Zach. I think Jorge Garcia got screwed. I think Jorge got screwed. I love what it sounds like Sonny does the pause to say names. I need her to say that Jeff Hardy has the Twisty Rockets. Chris Benoit now has the laser-guided rockets. We need to go back to that game at some point, Chad. That was funny as shit. WWE Crush Hour was funny as shit. All right. I think this will be our last game of the night, chat, and then we'll go to our post-show. Oh, you need the opening cutscene for the ads. Oh, yeah, that's right. Yeah, you're right. We gotta have, like, God damn it. Like, who would be behind a grill? Like, who the heck would be behind the grill? Like, who would be doing Kane's ad? Dante Robinson. I feel like Dante Robinson would be the one that's fucking doing the Kane ad. Wait a minute. That's Dynamite. Boom. Let's go ignite. That. Yes.
hi-ho to all sports fans from Sunny Day and Vinny the Gooch.
Who's getting beat up by Sting?
The Gooch, under no circumstances whatsoever, says hi-ho. Just yo.
Alrighty then, Vinny. A lovely yo to all sports fans from Sunny Day and Vinny the Gooch.
Man, you didn't say it right at all. It's yo, not yo.
She's getting caught off at the side there, Chad. Do you see that?
Or your cheerful one.
All right, tell you what. You stick to your hi-hos, and I'll stick to my yos.
You got it.
Now then, what's the matchup looking like?
Put your hands together for humongous.
Oh man, we got a freaking packed house here, chat. Wow.
2 teams, 1 goal, victory. Let's see who takes.
Jorge Garcia walking up to the plate, being like, "You're welcome for the house, Stev." This right here is a 30% Jorge Garcia dome, is it not? All right, let me see here. Is anybody, dude? Like I swear that I set this game up to have hot and cold days, and we've just not been getting those. For some reason, I feel like either Pete Wheeler or Reese is getting beaten up by Sting.
As long as he's headed in the right direction.
Into the gap it goes.
Probably Reese. Considering that out of everybody on this team, I feel like that he's the closest we have to an actual jobber. Come on, inside the Parker. Inside the Parker. Woo! Wow.
The living legend, Pablo Sanchez is
Ain't no one delivering like Pete goddamn Wheeler right here.
We all know.
Steph, would you get beat up by Sting for a Sprite ad?
Ooh, that pitch is sure to twist him up.
You know what? Sure.
We've got a runner.
Especially if it's like, you know, retired, no face paint, cool ass beard Sting. Then sure, I'll do that.
Not allergic to home runs.
Then sure, I would do that. Absolutely.
All eyes are on the pitch.
Strike one.
I mean, I don't think that he could do worse to me than he did to
No dice.
fucking what's his name? Timmy? Timmy, was that his name?
Ooh, a tricky play, batter. Can't win a game if you don't get on base.
I know, Vinny. I know. I fucking know.
Now he's ready to
I assume you had that in your ad rotation. I sure do.
He has a powerful
Coming courtesy of Infinite for making a wrestling themed sports compilation, rather a wrestling themed commercial comp.
That's a strike.
Speaking of commercial comps, I need to get back to making those because those are fun to make. If anyone wants to make some, I am in the market for that. If you do, I will put it in the stream in the rotation. Usually I like to keep a theme to it though. Ah, that's what we love, dude. That's what we love.
Watch your back. That ball's gonna.
That's what we fucking love to see, man.
Did I hit it?
You sure did, dude.
He's bunkered.
Hello there, Marky.
Jorge Garcia.
Jorge is about to lay down.
No, usually I like to keep a theme with, you know, the commercial comps.
Why he's dressed like a lawyer.
One strike. Still some breathing.
Whether that's like, you know, I'm a 2000s Cartoon Network,
There's 2 strikes.
you know, Adult Swim,
For error here.
Late Night Fever Dream, which is you know the one that has the tax doctor.
Out at first. No one has studied baseball like Stephanie Morgan. Let's see if she can translate that knowledge into a home run.
Bubbles knows everything about baseball, and if you give her enough time, she'll tell you all of it.
Good.
Hard.
I would want nothing more.
Slings it. First base is occupied. Always
But yes, I do have that in my rotation, along with
Kenny is a
a
strong
few
player.
other commercials
Young batter
about
means
wrestling.
This one's coming in with some heat.
Yikes. That's a ball.
Splits the middle.
Step aside.
Ah, dang.
For them this inning.
I did a misclick.
While it lasted.
Alright, I'm pretty sure that we could get the mammoths out. Oh my goodness, look at these. Look at the people in the audience chat. These are very, to borrow something from Vinny, non-standard crowds and onlookers.
Big dreams and a bigger swing. It's our favorite rookie.
The crowd is buzzing for the newcomer. No pressure, kid.
They look like Roblox avatars, actually.
There aren't many that can outpitch Kenny K. A spectacular combination of muscle and brains.
Kids.
Kenny look out! Here comes the newcomer.
Dude, they just keep talking. They're big fucking yappers.
Kid can actually ball, or if they're just good standing there. Personally, I like the sneakers.
The backyard screw job is exactly what the fucking thing is, yes. When I was in 3rd grade, a kid in my class went to Germany and managed to bring back Kinder Surprise eggs. I feel like we have those over here in the States now, too, yeah?
Rounder through the gap.
A ruthless out for the opposing team.
We probably have them in, like, every store, and I'm just not paying attention enough. You need the opening cutscene for the ads. Yes, exactly. Hold on.
What a hit! Throws it over. We've got a runner on first.
Keep him right there. Keep him right at first base. That's good.
Look out! Here comes the newcomer, ready to rock this stadium.
Now here's a kid who looks like they practiced their home run trot in the mirror this morning.
Ground ball up the first baseline. Scoops it up. We've got a runner on first and second.
I need to finish my computer, but when I do, I'll record you some ads myself. Record?
Ready to hammer it home.
Marky might run better if he'd put on a pair of shoes.
Ground ball up the first baseline. That'll end this inning.
There you go. Shut him down again. And before it was gonna get real bad.
He can swing with the force of a truck.
Not the ones in Europe. Those are chocolate eggs with a toy in the middle.
Drives it right up the middle.
Is that not what Kinder Egg surprises are? The ones in the States are chocolate on one half and a toy on the other.
Trusty sidekick Teddy are at bat.
Okay.
Some say that
But, like, is that not just functionally the same thing?
and that's why Luann is such a great player.
Or am I uninitiated on the politics of candy?
Smokes that one.
No way. Ah, the wall, dude, the wall blocks her from like, you know, going yard.
Looking a bit confused, we have
Every single time. She just cannot clear the wall, I feel like.
Oh, that's me.
Like, Luann just cannot clear this wall, I feel like.
No pressure, but everyone.
Ball one.
I want to give Reese Worthington a home run, chat. And we're going to do it with the power of fuck. And we're going to do it with the power of aluminum power, chat.
Pint-sized powerhouse. Pablo Sanchez walking up to bat.
The secret weapon always looks like he's ready to belt one out of the park.
All right, bud.
A little too
No way! Wow! Dude. Dude, he didn't even try. He didn't even try with that. Alright, well now, fuck it. Fuck it, I want to give Reese Worthington the aluminum power anyways. You can do it, dude.
And that's a ball, folks.
You can do it. I want to see you get it. No, are you kidding me? Only in this game can you get a single. Only in this game can you manage to get a single with an aluminum power.
I've gotta get a base.
Like, they really neutered the power-ups in this game, I feel like. They just aren't as good as they used to be.
Those fielders are gonna need to man a blimp to catch that one.
Well, they just fucking did it, dude. Maybe you should not talk so much. You talk too much, brother. You never shut up.
The neighborhood's newest ace, towing the rubber and ready to deal.
A new face steps in as batter. Let's see if the kids got.
Goodness, Kenny has barely broken a sweat on the mound, dude.
One managed to slip through.
They can't sell the European version here because it's illegal to have a toy in the middle of hollow chocolate. I kind of feel like that's fair, though.
Ooh, that's just embarrassing.
Especially for, like, kids, because kids are dumb.
Rounder to left field.
Oh, come on! Come on, you got the arm. You got the arm. Good job, man.
Here comes the neighborhood's newest.
No, I can't really remember the last time that I had, like, you know,
Let's see if this kid can actually
selling, like, a Lunchables or anything. Probably when I was, like, a kid.
Personally, I like
You know?
the sneak.
Wow, dude. That's out. Dude. Dude, my car. You know what? You know what? You could be fucking cocky about that one, dude. Enjoy it while you can, because you're gonna need to be paying some premiums here real soon.
No pressure, kid. Just the entire neighborhood.
That shit was on the cameras, okay? You're gonna need to be paying those premiums here soon.
I think my fastball is 112 miles per hour. That one stays low.
Now, chat. When you were a kid, if you're a kid that had Lunchables pizzas, when you were young, did you think that you had to, like, warm the pizzas up before you eat them? Because I did. And that's largely the reason why, you know, I didn't eat them very much. Because, well, like, well, why would I have, like, a pizza like this? This makes no sense. You know?
Headed straight back to the outfield.
In my head, pizza shouldn't look like that. Right? That's not my pizza. Nah, I only got a couple as a kid, and they were only for field trips. It's just sauce and cheese on a giant Yeah, but, like, dude. Dude, listen. That's not pizza. That's sauce and cheese on a giant cracker. That's not pizza, brother. Not how I know it to be, anyways.
It's Jorge Garcia.
Okay, stand back, peons.
Peons? Okay, well, for that, you need to be hitting this out of the park, brother. That was not a hit that was worthy of that kind of disrespect, brother.
Look at the stance. I'm sure Stephanie is going to pop this.
That was not worth the disrespect.
But I'm gonna hit a homer.
As a saucy, cheesy. Oh!
Your lights are on.
Oh!
Say goodbye to the folks. It's taking a victory lap.
That was one for the memory books.
Wow!
Farther than babes.
Dude, we gotta get Deontay back in here. Their fucking goat is showing up right here.
The last you'll ever see of it.
Their goat is showing the fuck up here.
Ball one. Don't let the new face fool you. This kid is about to bring some serious heat to the hill. Solid hit.
No. As a saucy, cheesy cracker, it's okay at room temperature. I mean, like, listen. over time, I've come to accept the facts, right? That Lunchables pizza is what it is, and I was a very stupid child. So.
Blind toward right.
I was too much of a judgmental prick to be able to appreciate Lunchables for what they were, I guess. Especially now that we have Lunchly. Which, like, listen, man. There's a reason why they use processed cheese in those goddamn Lunchables. It's because it doesn't go bad as easy. Or at least not as fast, you know? As a kid, I did remember there being one that also had ingredients for a dessert pizza. I remember that too. I remember that too. I remember wanting that. I don't know if I ever got it though. It feels like something I never got.
That's a ball.
Dude, that right there's why you don't drink Gatorade. That right there's why you don't drink Gatorade. It just gets caught all the time. They still sell the dessert pizza, but it's quite rare. What do you mean? Like where can I find the mythical dessert pizza?
One strike, still some breathing room.
Again, Kenny's barely broken a sweat.
That's two.
Let's see if you can handle this. Line drive.
What the?
A textbook.
Okay, I was about to say. It's a ground rule double. That's fine. We can work with that.
Look out.
Oh yeah, it's on the Lunchable site. I've had it before. It's very sweet. But it's not M&M's anymore. Well, then what is it? What do you put on the dessert pizza?
Goes the batter. Fires it over.
Add another one to the scoreboard.
No way! That should not have been out. I think chips and cosmic brownies. Oh, like the colorful chips that you get like in a cosmic brownie. That makes sense.
Checks it over.
Runner on first.
Yeah, that... I mean, I guess that makes sense, yeah.
Batter is cleaning the bases. Batter up.
Probably chocolate lentils, which are like M&M's but less delicious. Is that what they put in the cosmic brownies?
Strike one.
Chocolate lint? That doesn't sound very good, Chad. I don't think kids should be eating lint. Oh my god!
Better take a picture now, because that ball is out of here, and it ain't coming back. That kid is playing like a video.
Wow.
I did it! I can't believe I did it!
Good job, man. I'll give it to you. You were cool for a second.
Marky Dubois is ready to hammer it home.
Howdy, I'm ready to go.
Chocolate lentils are not actually lentils. Then what are they? Are they just like little, like, chocolate chips?
Now these kids have what it takes to win.
Pure butter.
Nice. I found the treats is most commonly in Kroger-owned chains around summertime. Generic M&Ms, basically. So wait, are they not shaped like chocolate chips? Are they just like... Are they shaped like M&Ms? Because when I think of, like, the chocolate chips and, like, cosmic brownies, they're like colorful little chips. They're not like M&M shaped. They're shaped like M&Ms. Okay. I mean, like, I'll take your word for it. Those probably taste like feet. Yeah, we need to lock in, otherwise we are going to be going home here.
2 strikes now. Gotta be careful.
Get in with the patented slow ball.
And that's a ball, folks.
I think my fastball is 112 miles per hour.
Prove it.
That one gets through. I got it! And that'll do it for them this inning.
We're going to the finals. That's it. I'm pretty sure anyways.
Outstanding! That was simply outstanding!
That pitcher was...
To be fair, yes.
I don't even like poetry, but I like that.
Good job. I don't know. They look like the sprinkles in classic brownies to me. It shows the treats as classic brownie style chips on their website.
What a hard-fought game. I got tired just from watching it. Dropping the mic. See you next time.
All right, let me see. Did Pablo deserve that? He got 2 hits. That's good. He got a home run. It was a completely natural home run. And he got 2 RBIs. Honestly, that's pretty good. That's real good. Good job, dude. And with that, we are in the finals here. Against the Atomic Oysters! Oh shit, chat. Oh shit. Oh fucking shit. I kind of want to do this series here tonight, but I'm afraid that we're going to be going to like 5 games and I don't want to be here for that amount of time. So maybe we can pick this up on another time and just go straight to the pre-show. In fact, rather to the post-show. In fact, yeah, let's go ahead and do that. All right. Those are your finals, chat. It is the Humongous Hornets taking on the Atomic Oysters after a, frankly, kind of a rough season. They're able to fucking get to the end here to compete for the Ultra Grand Championship of the universe right here. But that's going to have to wait until next time, chat, because next time we're going to do this series. I don't want to do it right now because, like, if I do it right now, then there's a chance that we're going to go to, like, 6 hours. I don't want to do that. Instead, I would rather go to our post-show here tonight. But, chat, thank you very much for joining me here for, you know, all this. This has been a very, very fun series. And I'm excited to conclude it next time. But, chat, if you stick around for a little bit, I need to go and pee. And then after that, we're going to do our post-show, which will be... Hold on just a second. I've got some extra time. Well, let me look up Ring of Honor HDNet. Sorry, I'm looking at this right here.